What's going on, everybody? Got so much to talk about. Come on in. Thank you all for tuning in to the Lady Luck Club. We have to talk about Candace, and there's so many videos. I just can't do a pre-recorded video on it. I want to do it live. So, you guys come in, make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're hitting that like button. I want to make sure I give out the memberships as well, because I don't know why it's not letting me do that. Hold on a second. Good evening, welcome all, welcome all. It's already 4 o'clock in the afternoon in my time. 4 p.m. Eastern. Let's see.
Can't even floss that shit. Doc every month just to get them shits whitened. Ho, get in that corner before I beat you with a switch. Talk big online, bitch. You really ain't shit. Broke ass clown, you and your slow ass mama.
Okay, sorry about that, y'all. I had to I had to do the membership gifting before I forgot to do it. So, yay! What's going on, Information Man Show, Black Anonymous? How y'all doing? Peace and respect to you. Thank you so much. I just doled out 10 memberships. They give out randomly, so hopefully you guys were able, one of y'all were able to catch them. What's going on? How you doing? Yo, we got to get in on Candace here. She is good child. So I gifted the 10 memberships. We get 10 each month to gift out. So I just gifted out 10 memberships. Hopefully you guys be able to catch one. They're supposed to be free. So it's gonna be, I think, the $2.99 membership level, but most of what I do is in that level anyway. I think the only time I specifically put things to the $4.99 level if it's like exclusive court documents. But for the most part, everybody gets to enjoy the memberships. You're doing well. Yeah, awesome. It's starting to rain in my area, so hey, Francesca, how you doing? Thank you for becoming a member. I listen. I have been meaning to do the gifting myself, so I know I have a um video premiering right now, but I wanted to go ahead and get in on get this live out the way for with Candace because she's got like 4 videos I want to check out. Then there's one from this Nick Fuentes that Jay Witt sent over to me that I want to check out as well. It's a whole lot. So so I think it's, something to just consider taking to watch and check in on. What's happening? Nice and sunny in your area. Where are you? You on the West Coast, information man? I'm in Georgia. Where are you at? It's about to storm in my ear. It's like the skies are about to fall. It's terrible. It's like it's 8 o'clock at night almost. You on the west side? That's awesome. California, okay now. Cruising down the street in my 6'4". Oh boy. Easy. Easy E said cruising down the street in my 6'4". Oh man, it must be nice. Must be nice. I actually was able to go to California for 6 weeks at Stanford when I was in college. I did a pre-medical program out there at Stanford University School of Medicine. So it was after my junior year. So my freshman year, I did a post-summer science program at my alma mater. And then this sophomore year, I got into a program out there at Stanford University. So I was out there for 6 weeks. First time I ever even got on a plane would be a 3-hour flight nonstop going to California. Who knew? And then did a program my third year at Case Western Reserve School of Medicine. So I was blessed to be able to get in those programs, but it was nice. I don't recall it really raining like that. And it was summertime too. So don't recall it being like thunderstorm type weather. Very nice out there. I was able to actually go to a few other places while I was out there, and it's a beautiful campus. It really is. So they had a lot of food, a lot of food. What's going on, Graham? How you doing? Shout out to you from Johnny Walker Dread. Hope all is well. Kirk wanted to be stoned is new. His mom drove him across the state line. Oh man, I hope he didn't say that. I didn't follow him. I didn't follow Charlie Kirk. I didn't watch his stuff. I didn't. I wasn't in tune with what he said. I just hate the way that he lost his life in front of national television. Like I don't want that to be a norm. It's a horrible precedent to set because I mean, with the division being so bad, people will feel vindicated or feel like they need to do it to the other side of the aisle, and then everybody will be scared to go out the house. And it's just it was just a horrible way to go. It just, man, it was dangerous. Hi Linda, how you doing? Yeah, I followed him for 8 years. Okay. Yeah, it's I don't talk about the politics of it. I don't, but I know what I saw was horrendous to see. And that's one of the reasons why I don't dive into politics. It's so divisive. And I always tell the Lady Luck Club, at the end of the day, when you stand before God, you will stand alone. He will not ask you who you voted for. He will not ask you about your politics. He cares about your intent and what lies within your heart. And that's what matters here in the LLC. Not the politics. Politics does not pay anyone's bills. It gives us something to talk about. But without it, I don't think humanity would cease to exist either. Because we got to remember there was a point in time where humanity existed without politics, without something called a Republican or Democratic Party. That didn't always exist. So, I don't I don't do politics over here, but I will. I think the things that Candace Owens is saying and doing is just. And I did a video late last night where she lied about the lawsuit, and it's like, why are you lying about something that's in writing? Like, it's like kind of losing it a little bit, and she needs to get off the internet for a minute. She needs to take a couple days off. She's got kids. She's got a husband. She needs to go really, go take a chill. She's just kind of cracking in front of us. Information Man Show said it. Stanford, I know well. I know it well. Did you go to Stanford? Big campus, it is. Huge campus. I don't think I ever explored the entire campus out there. And this was a long time ago. It was over 15 years ago. Long time ago. Beautiful campus zone. They had a fantastic running track, gym, pool. Even the dorms were decent. So everybody had their own room. You inside of a suite, but you still had your own rooms. And then of course you had the suite bathroom, stuff like that. But I think the setup should be kind of like a standard for many schools. And no one should have to share a room going to college. You gotta share a roommate in college. Like, I don't know, roommate. I want my own room. So beautiful campus. So I gifted out the 10 memberships, you all. I just wanted to go ahead and do that, get that out the way. They're supposed to be free. Dear God, please. I hope it did not charge my card, because if it did, it might come back. Yeah, we broke up in here. It's not a joke. So I did put up the goal as well, $25 goal for every live stream, you guys. And that goes towards the expenses of the channel. Hopefully with the 10 free memberships, you guys get to see all of the great content in the membership only channel, and access to, documents and, content that is not on the main platform, but it's just as juicy, if not more. And that is my gift to the members of LLC. So, love to all. Absolutely. I know, make it make sense. I don't have a reason. Like, there's no reason to fight with anybody. Because like I said, how we treat each other is going to be, at the end of the day, it will be judged. You will be judged. So, y'all ready to get started? Y'all ready to get started? So first I want to go to the first video that she did. And I'm going to go down in chronological order here from the oldest video she's done. Actually, I want to check out this New York Post. This one just posted up today.
Who's driver?
So this is Tyler Robinson, the alleged Charlie killer clerk Tyler Robinson, seen in newly discovered body cam video from 2022. From 2022. So I don't know if he's had any previous issues. I do have his the updated, what's this, the indictment, the charges that were brought forth that were updated. So what I read originally in the video was the original charges, but I have the updated ones. So we'll go over that as well. I know Candace read the documentation, but we'll just kind of touch on a couple things that I still find concerning. And the reason why I say concerning is because, in any other situation, you want all of the facts to be laid out and stated plainly in these charging documents, because this goes to the court. And if it's something missing, you're talking about loopholes that are going to be presented to the jury if the state does not fill in those gaps and answer some of those questions with, evidence or exhibits. Give a timeline that is specific, because if this happens with one, it's who knows? And if it leaves too many questions, then it opens room for too many assumptions. That's not something you want. There's already a lot of theories going around about, decoys and all kinds of things going on around. And it's like, I personally, I don't operate on theories like that. I can tell you my opinion on something, but it can be based on facts and evidence. But just conspiracy theories like that, I can't do it. At some point, I have to stay grounded to reality. That's just how I am in general. So that's why I come from the factual stance that I do. But I want to check this out because I believe this video, they're trying to just show kind of like a history of, this individual and any other prior, legal issues he's had or run-ins with the police that he's had, because that just kind of builds to the foundation of his character. So let's get to this. You guys put a 1 in the chat if you can see in here, and this is from the New York Post.
Who's driver? Is it driver?
Yep.
Can you tell me just really quick what happened?
I was coming this way and he was just passing through and he pulled out from here, or no, from there.
Hey, Candia.
Do you remember which lane you were in?
I was in one of those 2 lanes going this way. I think in the right, in the rightmost lane coming this way.
Okay.
And he would have been there going left. And as I was coming through, he turned in and I T-boned in this side.
Okay. Do you remember looking at the light?
Yeah, it just turned yellow as I was getting into the intersection.
Gotcha. Okay, are you one of you injured in any way, shape, or form? No, nothing hurts? Okay, do you have your registration and proof of insurance on your vehicle?
Okay.
Same address.
It will mute.
So he's a passenger. Okay. His insurance, mom's on the way. He doesn't have a copy right now, right?
Not right.
Okay, that'll work out. I'll just go ahead and.
Do you need to be on speaker? He's got his brochure full up on his phone. I sent a picture of it. You want me to text it to you?
Yeah, just text it to me. There you go, bud. All right. And then, did you get a record coming for this?
Yeah, I got one coming for this one.
Okay. He's going to need one too. He's really leaking. Did you get one for this guy as well?
Yeah.
It's a car accident?
Control 313. We're going to need a record for the 6 Juliet Fox as well.
Oh, yeah, it was a car accident.
Your mom's on her way?
Yeah, she's going to be a minute. She's got to shuttle over from where she's at to her car and then drive over.
Gotcha. Okay, what I need you to do is just fill out this witness statement for me. This is just your identifying information. Down here, put exactly what you told me that happened. Are you brothers or friends?
Yeah.
Okay, all I just need his, down here, just put name, date of birth, your address, and your phone number. That works just right out here. I have to list him as a passenger. Okay, are you injured in any way, shape, or form? No? Okay. Perfect. Okay, just give us a couple of minutes and we'll get the paperwork. All right? And we're going to have a tow truck come and get your car since you're leaking fluids. You're not going to last too long.
Just as I left the house, put oil in.
Of course.
Just hopped out.
Welcome to real life. Yeah, that's Murphy. We're working. All right, guys, the same time. Hey, buddy, y'all done?
You need a sign in front of you?
Yes, please.
Okay, so far we're looking at an MVA. His car looks, is kind of messed up in the front, so they're towing it. Officer said he's leaking fluids from the vehicle. What you're seeing is someone that's still remaining calm, mild-mannered, cool, laid back, not seeing any signs of violence or anything. So if they play this video in court, I think that's what the judge and the jury would take from this. Someone that's calm, cool, laid back, even with an MVA, he said he wasn't injured. He's not, acting out of control or anything. Don't know if they're trying to, what picture they're trying to paint, but we know what we see. And stuff like this, you can infer some sort of conclusion out of it, but the jury will be instructed to take it as face value. That's it.
Okay. Did you make any statements to him after the incident happened?
I said, "Are you all right?" And as we pulled up here, I had to check on them.
Okay. All right. Did you make a statement saying that it was your fault?
No.
What's that?
When I got out, I was worried. So I went off like, "Yeah, it wasn't your fault. It was our fault. We both messed up." And I first went up to him to check on him.
Okay. You said that to him?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you mean by that?
I think it was just trying not to.
Okay, because you guys have a couple of different versions about what happened. So we had a third party witness that watched the entire thing. I'm just trying to clarify your guys' story a little bit.
Okay, so there's some level of
So you're
deception,
heading-
possibly.
And from that rightmost through lane through the intersection. And maybe a second or so before I reached the intersection, the light changed yellow.
Okay, do you remember looking at the light?
Yeah, I was looking up at the light just before getting there. I saw it shift yellow. And as I get into the intersection, there was a vehicle in the lane between like the leftmost through lane that was forward some.
So people on the side of you were slowing down to a stop.
I had seen someone slowing down. I wondered why they had slowed so much.
Okay.
But
Why do you think that they were slowing down?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Maybe because the light was turning red?
Well, I was close enough to the light that I would end up in the intersection if I had tried to brake from that speed.
Okay.
I was going the speed limit. I just made sure.
Okay. How long was that? Like, when did you last check your speed?
Probably back like maybe halfway down that road to that where it curves. Maybe halfway down that distance.
Okay.
Just looked.
Gotcha. All right. 1 second. Is your mom almost here? Or?
I'm not sure. She had the shuttle from where she works.
Is she not able to just send you a text message of the picture of the? I just need a picture of the insurance card. Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
All right, buddy, here's your
Mark
information
showed
back
up.
here. So this is a driver exchange form. This has all of his vehicle information and all your vehicle information, okay? The most important number on this piece of paper is this one right here, top left. This is your case number, instant number, all that stuff, okay? That's the number that the report will be filed under, all right? When you contact your insurance company, that's the number they're going to ask for right there, okay? So I am not issuing citations today because I can't prove one way or the other about exactly what happened, okay? So if your light is yellow, then he didn't yield. If your light was red, okay, and you sped up to make the red light, then that's your bet. Does that make sense? Yeah. I have a third-party witness. It's just, we're like seconds. I just can't, I'm not comfortable with citing anybody because I don't know exactly what happened, okay? All right. So, do you have any questions about that? No. No? Okay. Mom, do you have any questions since you'll probably be taking care of this?
I will be taking care of this, and this is all new for me, but we'll figure it out.
All right. So basically, just call your insurance company. Let them know who's involved in an accident. They'll ask for this number, okay? And then just kind of go from there. They'll help you out. They'll do whatever insurance companies do, okay? All right.
I was told it was going to tell us where the car is.
So
that's pretty much the end of that. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, what's the hey, the lounge? How you doing? Black Anonymous, how you doing? Are you is this thing? I didn't see Black Anonymous comment. Black Anonymous? What's going on? Why can't I see her comment? Maybe her comment. Black Anonymous, are you hidden or something? Okay. Hey, the lounge, how you doing? How's it going? If I can get my fantastic mod, can you please drop Information Man Show's YouTube channel link and the lounge and Black Anonymous links in the chat for me, please, Candia, if you're still here. But you guys let me know what you think. I mean, what is this supposed to be? Like, what do you think they're gonna try to use this video to prove? Other than some character and the fact that he had a car accident. I'm good. I'm all right. We're talking about Candace. It's like her versus all of Israel or something. I don't know what's going on. But I started out with this New York Post video, and I'm just trying to see, what do you think that the prosecutor or whoever posted this up, what is their intent with this? What would be the motive? Because to me, I'm just seeing someone in a motor vehicle accident. Like, I don't know what else to get out of this other than him handling himself very calm in a motor vehicle accident. And even if he, may have been deceptive about the information, the officer still didn't issue a citation because he didn't have full information either, even with a third witness. I mean, take out of that what you will, but this is from 2022 as well. This is May 31st of 2022. So you're talking about around Memorial Day weekend 3 years ago. So I don't know how this would be relevant to anything regarding the actual case with Charlie Kirk, but this was posted up today, and it just seems like it's more, I don't know. I mean, they're trying to show some level of character building, but there's nothing bad to come out of this. But you guys let me know what you think in the comment section, because this is something else. And then it's like, what would be the purpose of releasing something like this? Are we gonna do this for every person? I mean, to try to release information on every person that does stuff like this, a motor vehicle accident. There are a whole lot of MBAs out there, y'all. All right, so I want to get to next.
Everyone, meet. All right, you guys
Candace
are gonna.
Here. Oh man. So this video, she goes over the charges. She gives her thoughts. And then she has like 3 more videos after that where she speaks about it in her words, insinuating Israel had something to do with it. I don't know how we got there. I don't know where her gripe is with, Prime Minister Netanyahu. I report on her with regards to the Macron lawsuit, because that's tangible information I can read, I can look up and research. Her whole gripe with the Israeli prime minister, I don't get why she continues to have issues with world leaders. I just don't. She's got the, president of France suing her over her lying about, the first lady being a man, right? They are purported, or they are expected to provide scientific evidence. They have not provided it yet. But yet she did a video where she said they're lying because they have not done it. They have not sent any of that. And the case hasn't started yet. Well, the case has started. You just haven't had a hearing. So her ignorance of how these civil procedures are, flow in court, it makes it worse. Out of nowhere. And I have that video up. I actually did a video on that, but I have her video in the playlist that we're going to check out. But it just goes, the manic behavior with this, it's just becoming more and more alarming. More and more alarming. So shout out to you. Thank you so much, Gandia, my fantastic mod, for dropping the links. That's the Lounge YouTube channel. Make sure you guys go check out the Lounge. Make sure you guys go check out the Information Man Show, as well as Black Anonymous. And Black Anonymous also has a blog of chock full of information about Umar. But let's see here. I want to make sure I get you guys comments in. Yeah, interesting for sure. Francisca said, not getting the relevance, or are they trying to get something about his character? That's what I think that was. What they're showing is him being mild-mannered and being able to handle himself in a motor vehicle accident. That's it. I don't, he didn't do anything violent or anything that would be alarming. And you're talking about an incident from 3 years ago. So I have no idea why they released that. But, I think people are just kind of trying to put out whatever they can about this person. And it's like, well, there are a lot of shooters they need to put out information on as well. Because I don't get what we were supposed to get out of that. And I think the jury would probably ask the same thing. If that video would be submitted as evidence into court, the jury would be perplexed as to why. Even the judge would probably be asking, what is the relevance of this video? You don't need to go back to a 2022 motor vehicle accident body cam footage to show character, right? It's all about his character and the actual recent incident of what he's being charged for, not necessarily an MVA from 3 years ago. So I just find it to be odd that they want to put that out there. All right, let's get to Candace here, because yeah, the lies about Charlie is the name of this video. All right.
Jump right into this with no introduction. There's a lot that I would like to speak with you guys about. Can't wait to hear your feedback. A lot of lies that are being put out there, narratives that I would say are half truths or just misrepresentations entirely. And I don't really see the reason for that. First and foremost, to let you know, last week was not a dream. Charlie Kirk, my friend, is dead. And he was publicly executed. I want to make that clear. Charlie Kirk was publicly executed before the world. And as we are all searching for answers, the ones that are being supplied to us are not making a lot of sense. And some people, I would say, are speaking too much, are speaking on behalf of other people. I don't like it. I will say something that I think brought the world a lot of relief, also, sadness, we were grieving with her, was when his wife, Mrs. Erica Kirk, addressed not just the nation, but the entire world. Her words were very powerful. And we just have a very brief portion of her remarks, which you should pursue in their entirety. But here she is.
Yeah, I don't understand what she was saying by that. And exactly, she's being sued. Candace is being sued by the French president and the first lady of France. I don't. Who's saying what here? I don't know. Maybe it's me, but she doesn't really like kind of go into who's saying what. Whether she likes it or not, or agrees with it or not, is one thing. But I mean, what exactly are they saying that would be worthy of, any level of anger? Everyone is entitled to their opinion. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
You thought that my husband's mission was powerful before. You have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die.
Beautiful, powerful words. Charlie had just one wife. What we got to see across this weekend is that there were so many people around the world, like she said, who were deeply moved by Charlie Kirk throughout their lives. And of course, have been deeply moved by this tragedy and what she is describing there at fire. A lot of us are feeling it. I am definitely feeling it. I had a very tough weekend. A very tough weekend. I will say this, my entire life, I've not been much of a crier. It is not my choice emotion. I'm not a person who bursts into tears. And some people are like that. This weekend, I didn't just cry. I wept. I wept for Charlie. Obviously, I didn't make it through the tribute to him on Friday. And for those of you who wanted to see me in a moment of weakness, that was delivered to you. Fair. Yeah, I watched my friend get shot in the neck.
It's not about a moment of weakness, Candace. It's about you being human. It is okay to be vulnerable. I've cried more times than I wanted to on my platform, but it's just one of those things where sometimes it happens. And then it just shows that you have some soft spot about you. You can't be hardcore 24/7, Candace. And that's the thing that everybody's not meant for social media, right? I get this is her business, but once you take away the humanity aspect out of it, then what are you left with? So attacking world leaders does not help the situation either. Insinuating another world leader into an issue, a very serious issue, where someone was publicly executed, despite how you feel about Charlie Kirk. I don't know anything about him like that. I didn't watch his videos or his content or anything like that. I am not political in any way. And the reporting I did on him was all about the logistics of where the shooter was sitting and how far the distance between the shooter and Charlie Kirk, and the anatomy of the point of entry with the bullet in his neck. I pulled up the science on that because those are tangible things that I can pull up with documentation and evidence. I can't do that with all of the conspiracy theories and stuff. That's why I'm not conspiratorial. But there's nothing wrong with being human. So he's your friend. You shouldn't have an issue crying. Like that's to be expected.
Yeah, that's what happened. I just want to say that he was publicly executed again before the world. The question is why, right? When you are in a state of grief, you go through a lot of emotions. And I'm arriving right now at a lot of anger, the audacity of some people. It has taken much restraint and prayer. And I had to speak with a priest. I had to go to confession. These emotions that I am having, wanting to respond with Charlie in his own words, really. People that are coming forward and saying this is what he thought and this is how he should be remembered. It just feels really inappropriate to me. I didn't know.
Shout out to you, Graham, for the $2 super. I will check out that document. I do have the charge, this charging document here with the case. number information, the OTN that outlines what occurred. And I'm going to read over that because I still have some questions. To me, it just seems like it's missing a couple things that I would expect to see in this type of document. But I appreciate the $2 super. Thank you so much for that. And I don't know if she's making a threat or not, Information Man Show. She's been saying a lot of things that seem to be threatening, especially towards the Israeli prime minister. Once again, a lot of talking without evidence and proof. I mean, she can have her opinion, but it shouldn't be to a point where it's being repeated over and over again to where it makes people believe that what you're saying is factual. That is how she got in the predicament she's in with Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Macron with the lawsuit, saying that she's a man, she was born a man, she'll die a man, to the point where they're now, okay, well, you're saying that this is a fact. She said it was a fact, and now she's being sued. It's going to end up the same way with the Israeli prime minister if she doesn't stop. You can have your opinions and issues or whatever you do or don't agree regarding the politics of what Israel is doing. But as far as the route she's taking, she's already in court with one world leader. She's going to be in court with another one if she doesn't stop. Just state your opinion and keep living. That is so insane. The problem is we have with Candace, her not saying anything about how she has reached out to Erica Kirk. Exactly. Reach out to his wife and say, and that makes all these vague statements claiming to have proof but showing none. Exactly. Just reach out to his wife and talk to her. Ask her how she's doing. She's mourning, she's grieving. That there's no reason to make any presumptive statements that could really hurt and backfire. You're absolutely right, Candia. And the European Union refused to hold a minute of silence for Charlie Kirk. Wow, that speaks volumes. Yeah, that speaks volumes. This is how she act with a friend's life ending. I would hate to see how she is if something happens to her husband. Hey, oh my God. I'm talking about Charlie Kirk's wife. Oh, when she said, you have no idea what's unleashed. Oh, I get what you're saying. I don't know. I didn't personally, I didn't catch it as a threat. I just caught it as a woman angry and upset that her husband was executed on national television. I don't know exactly what that means, but I hope it does not exacerbate anything to where people feel like they need to go out and get revenge or retaliate either, because then it'll never end. And all of this over. I mean, there are so many people that have lost their lives. Going back and forth and retaliating is not the answer. I think as humanity, we've already experienced a little of that, with all of the bombings and things of that nature. That happened when the Oklahoma bomber, when he bombed the buildings in Oklahoma because of the David Koresh, the divinity compound was attacked. So the scale of what can come out of vengeance and retaliation is incomprehensible. So a cult was attacked and burnt down, and then one man goes out and retaliates, and he bombed some buildings in Oklahoma, federal buildings, and he took out men, women, and children. That's why the retaliation and the vengeance is not worth it, because innocent people lost their lives with that. All because the Oklahoma City bomber was trying to defend what happened to David Koresh and that cult. More people died. That's all it leads to, is more death. So it's not worth it. It's crazy. Is Candace having a breakdown of some sort? That's what I think is happening, Francisca. I said in my video I did on her last night about lying about the lawsuit. It's like she's breaking down. She's having a manic episode of some sort. And she needs to get off of social media for a few days and just spend some time with her kids and her husband and just refocus. redirect her focus and attention. She can help, speak on, the details of the shooter and the case at hand, but it's becoming unhealthy for her. And she is definitely cracking. That's how I see it. I was wondering why she isn't with her friend's wife comforting her. Exactly. Exactly. That's what she needs to be. But this here is something else.
Know what to do other than to scroll through messages between me and Charlie, regarding which there are a ton of them. And kept going back and watching the many videos of us dancing to the song Power. And it felt appropriate to reach out to TA, speaking about things, talking about his mode when he wrote the song. When you wrote the song Power, why did we have it as our hype song? Because the song is about the ability to find it within yourself to become what you know you are capable of becoming inside of a matrix, when you just realize everything is dishonest, that everything is performative, that people are dishonest, that they are going to try to stop you from being great. In fact, it's the end of the song. The question that he asks at the end of the song, that's the most important. Ye asks, do you have the power to let power go? Do you have the power to say no to power? I told you guys that Charlie was going through a spiritual transformation at the end, and all of the usual suspects were really angry that I hinted towards that. What do you mean? You're not allowed to say that. They were attacking me, trying to make me fearful to speak out and speak about things that I know. I'm not feeling very fearful right now. I am, like I said, very angry. And I found, Charlie's favorite portion of the song. I'll show you the text between him and I, because this feels very relevant right now. This is, again, lyrics directly from the song Power, but I just needed time alone with my own thoughts, got treasures in my mind, but couldn't open up my own vault. My childlike creativity, purity, and honesty is honestly being crowded by these grown thoughts. Reality is catching up with me, taking my inner child. I'm fighting for custody with these responsibilities that they entrusted me. That's a moment where he is really speaking about how hard it is. Like when you're saying, no, this is what I believe. And they say, you're not allowed to believe that. You feel like you are fighting for custody of yourself. And I want to be very clear that I believe, in fact, I know that towards the end, Charlie was fighting for custody of himself. I want to say that. I want to say that plainly. And there are lies that are being told and they need to be slapped down right now. There's one person who's been out there acting like he is a widow, just saying the absolute most, tweeting first about what happened to Charlie, following it minute to minute, and doing hits in a foreign country, right? Like making time to do hits on Fox News, 2 of them. Bibi Netanyahu who's fighting, I think, like an 84 front war with everyone, made a lot of time for Charlie Kirk. You would have thought they were the best of friends, as close as him and Trump were. But I will say, I don't recall Erica mentioning Bibi Netanyahu in her speech. The way he's presenting it is like he was this is just the worst loss for him, but I don't think that is the truth. In fact, I know for a fact.
It's my understanding she didn't mention Candace either, right? I mean, did he mention? Did she mention Candace in her speech as well? Because I don't think she mentioned her either. I know I just saw the little portion that she played. I haven't seen the full speech itself. But I think a couple other podcasters pointed out that, Erica Kirk did not mention Candace either. And how old is this text message here? Like, I'm not seeing date and timestamps with these text messages to show how old they are. Because if she hasn't talked to him, let's say they didn't fall out, but they didn't maintain their closeness either, and they hadn't talked in a year or so. I mean, can you say that the anger that she has is that warranted if you've gone a year and you haven't talked to him? When is the last time she claims she talked to him? That would be my question. Hey, Wyoming gal, how you doing? And yes, why isn't she with her? Why is she not talking to Charlie Kirk's wife? She should be talking to the wife. Why is she not doing that? This is so crazy. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button coming in, please, so we can make sure this video stays up in the algorithm, because there's a lot of information that people need to hear and see in this. And, I just want to make sure this gets out to the masses as much as possible. Just like the video I did last night, correcting her once again on that lawsuit. I mean, there's no reason to lie that bad about this lawsuit. It's so crazy. It's halftime and my husband is outside. I get to see LLC. Oh, cool. Thank you so much, Wyoming gal. Thank you for rocking with us. And one of my fantastic mods here in the LLC as well. I feel like she's been having a slow mental break since being fired from the Daily Wire. Wow. She's definitely showing signs of that since she's been sued from Brigitte Macron. So What's going on, Lance McDonald? Blade Vision. She talking a little too much. She is. She's saying some dangerous stuff. This is yet another world leader she's attacking here. And I don't want to say attacking, but just to put his name in this and to insinuate that he has something to do with this is very, 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 very dangerous. I think it's very reckless. Something is off with her. Hopefully, her husband is seeing this. Why isn't he telling her, "Hunt, why don't you just come from the basement? Come on up here with me and the kids. Let's have family time." You know, I just, she's acting like she's a widow. Exactly. But you don't see her. She has not brought on Erica to her show. She hasn't done a one-on-one interview with her or anything. Why isn't Erica Kirk talking to her directly on her platform? That would be good to see. But it raises questions as to whether or not those two have any level of closeness. And she doesn't mention Candace at all in her speech. And she has not been on Candace's platform. I mean, am I the only one that feels that way? Candace has a platform of over 4.5 million supporters, right? Don't you think that your closest best friend, whom you've lost, in a manner to which we all witness, wife would be on your show? If she wants to talk or give a statement, don't you think she would have definitely said, I'm going to go on Candace's podcast and say how I feel. Even if she's not ready to talk now, wouldn't that kind of be expected that she is eventually going to come on Candace's show and say something if they're that close? That's so crazy. Yeah, this is the most she has ever talked about him. Yeah, because when the last time she talked about it? All right, let's get back to it.
Fact that he is misrepresenting some things that happened there towards the end. So let's at first listen to what Bibi Netanyahu, just one day, less than 24 hours after Charlie died, what Bibi Netanyahu had to say on Fox News. Take a listen.
We're just heartbroken. Myself, my wife, my family, my son, actually, on his 2019 visit to Israel, had lunch with him and his wife, Erica. We're shattered first as human beings because a great human being has been taken from us. He was an extraordinary friend. He said, he wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year. He said, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances to defend Judeo-Christian civilization. A few weeks before the tragedy yesterday, I called him and I spoke to him and I said, please come to Israel. I invited him to Israel. And sadly, that visit will not take place. But he was a defender of our common Judeo-Christian civilization. He was unbelievably excited to walk in the footsteps of Jesus here. He valued our bond, the bond between America and Israel. He did so many things to defend free speech. He had his truth. He stood up for it. But he said, you can come and debate me. He invited that debate. He certainly didn't invite the violence, the horrible violence that tried to silence him. And, this is a worldwide problem. The people on the extremes, the Islamists, the radical Islamists, and their union with the ultra progressives, they often speak about human rights. They speak about free speech, but they use violence to try to take down their enemies. Whether it's President Trump, who's been almost assassinated twice, or they try to kill me here too. But they got Charlie Kirk, and it's just heartbreaking.
Who is they, BP? Who is they who got Charlie Kirk? We don't have to actually speak conspiracies. I'm just wondering, because you said a lot there, but it really sounded like it was about Bibi trying to establish a narrative that we saw reinforced by a lot of people, that, Charlie kind of made it almost sound like he died for Israel. I mean, Trump's account.
I mean, he's a world leader, so you kind of expect him to be a target oftentimes. I mean, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is going to bring up some enemies here. So I don't think the same people that would target the Israeli prime minister would target Charlie Kirk. They're not on the same level. So I think it's safe to say that it would be those who probably have been targeting a prime minister for a while. He's just simply saying, I understand, the aspect of being targeted, not saying that they are being targeted by the same people. That's how I understood that. But I don't, I wouldn't read too deep into that either, not to make this type of insinuation. Wyoming Gal says, I think Candace spoke at Turning Point at the Turning Point Action Conference in June 2024, I think. So That would be because it's September 25, so that would be well over a year since she last spoke to him. If that's the case, I don't know. Maybe she still kept in contact with him since then. But who knows? She's not showing us any text messages with time and date stamps, so who knows? Or is it true Candace and Charlie were not so close anymore? Candace claims they were still close. Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy because I have never heard of Kirk until this happened. Me either. I no idea who he was. I didn't keep up with him. I didn't watch his stuff. We just saw a man get executed on national television. Had no idea what he stood for or any of that. And all I know is this: he should not have been executed that way. That's just not. Oh man, that's dangerous and it sets a horrible precedent. I don't think Charlie cared for Netanyahu. Okay, neither had I heard of Charlie before this assassination. Yeah. Francesca, I see I'm not the only one. Yeah, y'all not the only one. I never heard of him either. Candace is into conspiracy theories. She is. She's going down this rabbit hole, and it's just wow, girl. And Candia said BB said that he's been told he should sue Candace. Candia, if he does, that's 2 world leaders that will be have active lawsuits against her for defamation for sure. 2 world leaders. You already got France behind your back, Candace. Why add on to that? That's my thing. It's none of this is what I mean by manic. It's the loss of sleep. I guess she's in mourning. More of a reason why she probably should just chill off the social media for a minute. But it's hard to gauge where all of this anger is really coming from if she knows that she has not spoken with him in months. And she really isn't showing anything to prove that they've maintained communication like that to warrant this level of anger. I just, I mean, you love someone, right? But she's way more upset than the wife. And the wife is like, look, I'm grieving. I did a statement. I got to take care of funeral arrangements and my children. And that's it. Like, she's acting the way anyone that has lost their spouse that they love dearly and care for should be behaving. Candace is giving us a steroidal version of that. And it's almost like, where's all of this coming from?
Even tweeted out a photo of Charlie and an American flag and also an Israeli flag. A bit of AI used, like this is just who Charlie was. He says Judeo-Christian values. He spoke to him 2 weeks ago. Again, you would think he was busy fighting this 97,000 front war, but no, he's letting you know that he just randomly picks up the phone and calls Charlie Kirk and invites him to Israel. Why would people do that? It seems like maybe there's a little more to the story. No, there definitely is a little bit more to the story. First and foremost, that letter he is holding up, he is severely misrepresenting. Those sentences are real, but I am calling upon Bibi Netanyahu, the dear friend to Charlie Kirk, to publish the letter's entire contents. Like, don't start with just 2 sentences. Publish the entire thing. You're holding it. I'm saying you're severely misrepresenting the contents that in May, Charlie was concerned about Israel and their influence on American politics and how they were pushing things that he felt were in conflict with his beliefs, free speech here in America. Bibi's holding it up like Charlie just in May said, hey, you know what? I just want to write a love letter to Israel. That's how it was presented. Would you guys agree? That's not how it happened. Now, regarding that phone call and that invite, that also needs to be contextualized. And I'm going to do that. But first, Skylar, can we bring in a clip of Charlie from a month ago speaking about the kind of pressure that he was under? Because I think that will also help to further contextualize this. Take a listen.
I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But like some of the mess, and you saw, I mean, you've seen how I've been treated, Megan, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's been
so unfair. They were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things. You had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the 5th time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this. And I could go, I mean, you saw it, Megan, it was trending on Twitter, thousands of tweets and text messages. And if I were to be charitable and generous, I will say the people that are attacking me are in a hyper paranoid state. because they're at war, and war tends to make things black and white, and you're a hammer looking for a nail. So I'm trying to be charitable, Megan. Literally, I'm trying to cut as much slack as I can, right? Like, okay, what would it be like if all of a sudden I'm starting to see a pattern of behavior similar to what my grandparents saw in 1930s Germany online? How would I behave? So that's like my charitable kind of overcompensation spirit. At the same time, I'm like, but it's not defensible to be dumb, right?
No, it's not defensible to be dumb. And he was under an increasing amount of pressure, not just people telling him, oh, well, you know, I'm upset with who you're inviting, but flat out telling him that he was not allowed to invite certain people to his events. They were threatening to pull out money. Charlie was getting a lot of really nasty text messages, and many of them pertaining to Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. But Tucker Carlson was really the focus when it came to America Fest. How could Charlie allow these debates about Israel to take place? How could he allow Dave Smith, who, by the way, is Jewish, how could Charlie allow this other position to meet the stage? Because obviously when people start to hear the debates, what Dave Smith is saying sounds so rational, but it was up to Charlie to not allow those things to happen. And that amount of pressure towards the end, as you see that conversation he had with Meghan was just a month before he lost his life, really, I would say, reached a pinnacle of sorts on the matter of what Tucker Carlson actually said on that stage. Tucker Carlson, while he was on that stage at Turning Point, brought up Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman is a billionaire. Obviously, he's also an extremely litigious billionaire. And Bill Ackman was on Charlie about comments that Tucker Carlson had made on that stage. Tucker Carlson specifically asked the question, where does Bill Ackman's money come from? You know, who is this guy? Actually, who is this guy that has this much influence? And like I said, Bill Ackman was not happy about this. And so I would like to contextualize Bibi. Again, these are things Bibi brought up publicly, which he didn't have to. He didn't have to bring up the letter. He didn't have to bring up the phone call, but he chose to do this less than 24 hours after Charlie Kirk was shot. Personally, Bibi, I would have appreciated if you guys used all of your spyware, you'd spy on us for years, to maybe track down the killer. But I guess this is where you thought it was best. Do a little propaganda for Israel would be better than us helping us track down the killer. But anyway, so Bibi Netanyahu, in that phone call, which took place was a couple of weeks ago before Charlie lost his life. Charlie was in the Hamptons, and he had more than one event, but he had essentially what was staged, an intervention was staged by Bill Ackman. Because Charlie's rational thoughts about Israel were a no-no. This is not the route that you should be going on. And Charlie was surrounded by his friends, his quote-unquote friends. Bill Ackman was very upset, and threats were made. That is what I am told, and I will tell you that I am very happy for Bill Ackman to dispute this narrative. In fact, he was asked to dispute this narrative. Max Blumenthal went out to him today, and Bill Ackman came back and said, I have receipts I can show you. And he did not provide the receipts. This is not how it went down. I know it went down this way. I'm waiting for one of them to go on record and to say that it didn't go down this way. It was at this time that Bibi Netanyahu was called, and Charlie was invited to Israel. This was an under duress situation, I would say, because I've been in these situations before. When I started asking,
things like that, you know, I know she you know, here's where the lines of giving your opinion and giving this narrative that this is how it is, like it's a matter of a fact, where those lines become blurred. Just state the facts of what happened, and then you give your opinion on how you see it and your view on it. So she played the clip about, Megan Kelly. Is it Megan Kelly or Megan Kelly? And Charlie Kirk, right? They did a video, and Charlie Kirk was expressing his frustrations about having a guy named David on his platform. I don't know who that guy is. And of course, Tucker Carlson, and he was more so talking about the backlash of people challenging him and his character, his morals, because he allowed these individuals on his platform. And one thing about this is why I don't do politics heavy on my channel, because it's so polarizing. It forces people to have to pick a side. And it is to the point where people are forcing you to pick right or left. You can't come to some middle ground or anything. And it shows that sometimes in certain topics, people are unwilling to compromise, to come to some median ground. And that's, the bad part about this is that he is pro-Israel. He believes in Israel prospering and doing well. He never, based on what he said, he never talked bad about Israel. But Candace is taking this and saying, well, he went out to Israel because of these people he had on this podcast, and he was starting to get too closely aligned, I guess, with people who aren't pro-Israel as much. And it's starting to look bad, and it almost seems like it was one of these trips and invites to go to Israel to try to see where his fealty belongs. I mean, could it not have just been a trip? I wouldn't take that and run with it so much before you get all the facts of what came out of that. That's how I am. I would not take that as a sign of, oh, they're trying to silence him and keep him from having people on his channel. Okay, let's get all the facts from that encounter. Is there a video or recording or an interview or something? Let's get all the facts of that meeting first. Then we can report on it, then go from there, and then have our opinion on it. But she's just going straight to the Israeli prime minister doing something that seems to be, shaky, and he's, questioning Charlie Kirk's loyalty, sort of thing. I mean, I don't even know if it was that serious, but I mean, I wasn't there, but neither was she, so I don't think her stance on that could be inferred to be any more serious than mine. That's why it's important to get facts and not jump on theories. Get the facts. This is so crazy. Candace seemed to exploit Charlie's questions about Israel Gaza war. I'm sorry. I'm sure Charlie supports Israel, but can critique their actions. I mean, we all can. They really went after Charlie and Megan. Is it Megan? Am I saying that right? David Smith is a libertarian, very smart guy. Okay. Hey, spirituality is key. What's going on? She is soon gonna be sued by so many people. Good luck. Exactly. She's already been sued by Emmanuel Macron. Yeah, I stopped arguing politics a long years ago. I just don't do politics. To me, I'm in America. I'm A for American. That's it. And all that I can do is hopefully what God is pleased with, so that I don't miss out on my opportunity to get to heaven. That's how I see it. I just don't understand how Candace spends any time with her family when she's so busy gathering all this info and staying in contact with all these people and sources. Exactly. I think that's where her husband needs to come in and say, hey, can you not do a video for 2 or 3 days? Because Lady Luck Club is like, concerned. I feel bad more so for her children, because at some point they're going to watch all these videos. And these videos are going to start really piling up, and it's going to show her character. And she doesn't want it to paint a bad message. And I think, sometimes even when you say you're not emotional, this is her level of emotions. It's like anger and grah. You are being emotional. You're just being emotional to where you maybe you're not crying, but you're definitely coming off with a lot of vitriol and anger and frustration. And it's not balanced with anything else. That's why it's okay to be vulnerable and to have, to shed some tears. But just going in on the Israeli prime minister like this, and they get upset when a world leader sends a lawsuit your way. That is baffling to me. Then lie about saying you're not going to seek for a dismissal while you and your attorney plan for the motion to dismiss to be filed. This is where we are right now. Is it worth trying to get that level of notoriety? I would love to have 4.5 million supporters, but not through any means necessary. I'm sorry. It just, whether it's 9 people in this chat or 100 people or 900 people in this chat, not through any means necessary. It's not worth it, because the harder you rise up, especially off the backs of others, the faster and harder you fall. And there is no reason to lie about basic information that can be proven, that can debunk you. What threat did he pose to Israel? I don't know. I don't think he posed any threat to Israel. At least I don't. from my understanding on what I've seen so far. Um, unless his following is huge. I'm sure Israel doesn't want to lose his support, public opinion. Okay. All right, y'all. Let's get back to it. Yeah, her husband needs to intervene. He needs to get off. Come off the internet, dear. Come from the basement.
Very sensible questions about Israel as someone who had dedicated her political life to supporting Israel, many times alongside Charlie Kirk. I was met with the very same pressure. And just like Charlie was being invited to Israel, I was invited somewhere else. And when this arrived to me, it felt like a threat. You know, I got to tell you, it felt like a threat, like not like, hey, come here and we can educate you because you're my friend. More like, this is your last chance. That's how it felt to me. I can't speak to how it felt to Charlie. And I know that Charlie was offered a ton of money in this moment, a ton of money. People would fund it, you know, spend tons of money. And Turning Point, I guess, if it needed to go to a higher level, would have gone to an even higher level than it already was at. And I know for a fact that Charlie denied that funding, that Charlie denied, and what BB didn't include there, he declined to go to Israel for, I would describe this as like, you know, re-education camp. You know, we've seen it. You made an uh-oh, but we can help you. You know, we just need you to come out to Auschwitz and take a picture. Yeah. We just need you to come to the Holocaust Museum and take a photo. We just need you to go to Israel and we can make this better. Charlie said no to BB. Okay. Bill Ackman, if you would like to dispute that, I would love to hear what you say happened, because our sources and what we have, it's solid. Okay. There were conversations that took place, messages that were sent at that time, and they are solid. So I decided, another person that was there, and I am not surprised this person was there. If you've been listening to my show, Seth Dillon, I was going to go to Seth Dillon, and I decided to message him last night about this Hamptons meeting. And Seth Dillon, who is normally very quick with a response, has not yet been able to respond. I'll show you this text message chain. And I want to be clear, I am not someone who normally publicizes text messages, but my friend was shot in the neck, and I'm just not really in the state right now to be polite when it comes to the answer that I am demanding, okay? This is me out to Seth Dillon last night. I sent him Bill Ackman's tweets because, you know, he tweeted, I feel incredibly privileged to have spent a day and shared a meal with Charlie Kirk this summer. He was a giant of a man. I said, any comment on this one, Seth? He didn't answer last night. This morning I said, need a comment ASAP, please. He didn't answer. Then I followed that up and I said, trying again here, you were present when Ackman lost his mind on Charlie and when BB invited him to Israel and Charlie refused. Text messages immediately following this meeting are circulating. I find Ackman's statement, as though the meeting was somehow cordial, to be incredibly disturbing. Are you at all disturbed by that tweet? Do you feel, as I do, that this tweet significantly betrays the defined purpose and mood of his, and I presume your, final meeting with Charlie Kirk? ? He was unable to speak to me, but he did place some frantic calls to Turning Point USA. Yeah. You see, I went out to Seth, but I also went out to two other people who were at this meeting, and nobody is willing to go on record. They're all messaging each other, trying to figure out a coordinated response to say that, no, this was all quite cordial, but no one wants to go on record and describe it as cordial because they know someone's leaking, because someone's got a guilty conscience about what happened at the Hamptons. So I will again put it out there, Seth, Bill Ackman, and to the other individuals who I have not yet named.
I thought I was lost before. I thought I was lost before, but I'm lost now. What is going on? Hey, Cher, how you doing? Yeah, she's losing a lot of something. Oh my God, it's safe to say she's crazy. She's getting there. Girl. Candace, please get off of social media for 3 days. Hi, honeys. How you doing, Cher? Another fantastic mod. Shout out to you. Hey, Manny. How you doing? You're home. We're gonna do Umar tonight, but right now we gotta talk about Candace because, oh Lord have mercy. This makes no sense. Profoundly heartbroken and mad about Charlie. I get it. She has every right to be angry. I'm just confused as to how all of this is coming together. I'm not seeing enough documentation on this to back up a lot of stuff she's saying. And the way she asked the question in that text, do you feel as if I do? First of all, as an independent journalist, we don't ask leading questions like that. You don't ask leading questions to say, do you feel the way I feel about this, XYZ? Because you immediately put that person in a position to where it's either they're going to say something to piss you off or they have to immediately agree with you. And that is not true journalism. That's not giving them their own voice. It's not giving them the opportunity to state their opinion and how they feel or what they perceive it to be. So when I'm asking questions to someone, I'm asking questions. I might say, hey, there's some information out here saying that, this person needs to be 302. What do you think about that? I don't ask, do you feel like everyone else feels? Because they may say, well, no, I don't feel that way. And if you're dealing with someone like Candace, you might get upset that they're not saying the same thing you're saying or agreeing the way you feel. Or they're not agreeing to what you say or vouching how you feel about something. So that's why, as an independent journalist, you don't do that. You don't ask questions like that. You don't ask questions. Do you feel the way I feel about this? No. How do you feel about this? It's so simple. Candace should have asked the person, hey, Seth, I got this information. This is my thoughts on it. I'll give my thoughts, but can you tell me, how do you feel about this in general? And then leave it to him to have his own mindset and give his own opinion on it. Because leading into that, do you feel the way I feel? It's almost like a trap. And right now, with her being very angry and emotional about all of this, I wouldn't engage that either. I would not have responded. I'll be honest. I wouldn't have said anything. Candace is not helping. You're not helping the situation right now.
At the Hamptons, when Charlie was put under pressure, when Bibi Netanyahu called him and invited him to Israel,
I hit the like button.
Again, in a move that would happen to me, and it wasn't Bibi Netanyahu, felt to me like a laced threat. I am inviting you guys. I will give you my platform, actually, to come clear matters up and tell us what really happened. Because, I think Charlie was definitely on the brink of changing some of his perspectives. And I can tell you factually, Charlie was praying the rosary. Charlie was going to mass. One of my last conversations with Charlie was me joking with him saying, just make the last step, okay? You are, I said specifically, you're too smart to be a Protestant. Just take the last step, Charlie. He says, ha. Speaking about Mary. And typically when those steps start taking place, you stop referring to yourself, as I did, as a Judeo-Christian. Again, it is mystifying why, Bibi was out there doing the absolute most to make sure that Charlie was basically remembered as, I would argue, like a Jew, has not been yet mentioned. I didn't hear that. Erica was very clear that Charlie was a Christian. And I believe Charlie obviously was very much a Christian.
When did the Israeli prime minister say he was Jewish? When did he ever say that about Charlie Kirk? What is going on? She's saying like a Jew. Am I hearing this right? That's why I put on the captions below so I could just read it.
When those steps start taking place, you stop referring to yourself, as I did, as a Judeo-Christian. Again, it is mystifying why, Bibi was out there doing the absolute most to make sure that Charlie was basically remembered as, I would argue, like a Jew, has not been yet mentioned. I didn't hear that. Erica was very clear that Charlie was a Christian.
You said argue like a Jew. What do you mean? Wouldn't there be a difference between Jew and Judeo-Christian? I'm confused.
I believe Charlie obviously was very much a Christian, and that things are not being told truthfully. In fact, I will also call upon, since we're having fun, Turning Point USA to release the audio of what Charlie Kirk, because I was in communication with Charlie at this time, because I knew exactly which donors were pressuring him and why, exactly which people that they were insisting Charlie allowed to speak at his event and why, when Charlie did not necessarily want those people to speak at his events. Okay. I'm calling upon Turning Point to release the footage of what Charlie said to Tucker Carlson before he hit the stage, before, all of that craziness and the response to Tucker Carlson's remarks played out. Charlie was mic'd. Surely Tucker Carlson was mic'd. I know Charlie's mic'd the entire time at those events. So I'm asking for everyone to just release Charlie in his own words. I feel like that's pretty fair, right? Let's stop saying how Charlie felt. And instead, if you're going to hold up the letter, release it in its entirety. Okay. Why don't you release your messages, Bill? I'll release mine. Let's all just be very forthcoming about what took place. In fact, I'm calling upon Tucker Carlson to speak about that. I know what Charlie said to him, and I'm sure Tucker Carlson won't lie about it. What did Charlie say to you? Dave Smith, what did Charlie say to you? What was Charlie? Did he seem like he was treading in the direction?
Exactly.
Like, do we feel like what Bibi is saying is honest, a representation of what Charlie was going through? This is what I want. I think that the thing that we need here, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Now, does all of this mean that Bibi Netanyahu and that this somehow proves that Israel was involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk? No, we have no evidence of that. We can't say that because there is no evidence of that. But I don't like little lies. That's what I will say. Something that I always say in my household is, when there is one lie, there's 20.
But you're insinuating something so far-fetched. Listen, man, this is crazy. Hold on. Let me share this tab here before she keeps going on. Judeo-Christian. Term Judeo-Christian is used to group Christianity and Judaism together, either in reference to Christianity's derived from Judaism, Christianity's recognition of Jewish scripture to constitute the Old Testament of the Christian Bible, or values supposed to be shared by the two religions. How is that calling him a Jew? He wasn't Jewish. He's a Christian, right? He's a Christian that believes in the Old Testament. I mean, that is part of Judeo-Christian belief here. So, what is she talking about? Who said he was Jewish? I just Googled the information. I don't understand where is she coming from with that.
There's no reason to lie. Bibi could have gone on Fox News and he could have told the truth. He could have said truthfully that Charlie Kirk has always loved Israel. He has always loved Israel as the Holy Land. He's been here many times. And throughout his career, he has been a faithful supporter of Israel. That's not what he said. Okay. He talks about the phone call and didn't give it the proper context. He held up the letter and didn't give it the proper context. And lies by severe omission, I'd like to be very clear, are lies. Lies by severe omission are lies.
Look who's
You're not going to gaslight us and tell us to shut.
Candace, lying about the lawsuit that Brigitte Macron is not suing you because you called her a man is a lie. That's not just a little lie. That's a big lie, because that is the basis of the lawsuit. What are you doing? It's smelling like hypocrisy over there, Candace. You're being very hypocritical, girl.
Up or call us anti-Semitic for pointing out the fact that Charlie was having a change of heart about the tactics that Israel was using in America, and that he felt when he had left that meeting that he had effectively been blackmailed.
Jesus
Again,
Christ.
My platform is yours, Seth Dillon. My platform is yours, Bill Ackman. So if you want to clarify it, we can do it in front of millions.
I don't think they're going to come on her show.
I think that that's what people deserve, because everyone has PTSD. We watched Charlie get shot in the throat. That feels a little bit symbolic. It feels like they wanted us to know that his voice was problematic. Again, I don't know who they is. After we take this brief break, we're going to go through the investigation, which seems to have a lot of inconsistencies and holes in it. And we're definitely not yet at the bottom of what in fact took place. But I do know that I severely distrust people who rush to misrepresent things. And it's not a good sign
you're doing
when somebody has to ask you, as Greta Van Susteren asked Bibi Netanyahu in his secondary hit regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination. It's not a good sign if somebody even has to ask if you did have anything to do with the assassination. It doesn't make you a great person, okay? And that's what she asked him. Take a listen.
Before I let you go, I want you to address one thing, and it's just the absurdity of it. Some of the internet rumors that somehow Israel is behind the Charlie Kirk murder, and I don't believe it for 1 second, but I want you to make a statement. It's so absurd.
That's insane. That's insane. Israel also changes the orbit of the moon. Israel pushes the sun. I mean, the whole thing it's not only insane. I think it's so absurd, so stupid, and so ridiculous. You can't believe that people are saying that. They just found the perpetrator. They'll get to the bottom of this. But they go, they have no limits. When you hate Jews, when you hate the Jewish state, you're willing to say anything and promote all these absurd rumors. And by the way, they're willing to kill us all the time. I mean, that's what they're doing. And over the centuries, when Jews, especially in the Middle Ages, the horrific Middle Ages, the worst things were said about Jews you can possibly believe. We were poisoning the wells. We were drinking the blood of Christian children. You name it. I mean, these things, that continued actually up to the Holocaust. The Nazis said the same thing. We're carrying vermin. We're spreading disease. And people believed it. And every time they believed it, this was a prelude to a greater and greater massacre, culminating with the worst massacre of them all, the Holocaust.
Well, he's mentioned the Holocaust. Guess we can't prod the narrative any further, guys. Holocaust. So everybody's just stopped talking about anything. Hey, he's the victim.
This shit. Girl. I don't know. She doesn't care how serious the Holocaust was. Are you kidding me? I'm at a loss of words. It's
absurd. It's just absurd. Holocaust happened. You heard him. We're sick of this shit. We really are.
Candace.
And there will be no narrative that I will not prod when it comes to figuring out why people are lying about the state that Charlie was in. when it came to the topic of Israel. Again, you can examine Charlie in his own words. You're starting to talk about topics that you're not really allowed to talk about when you take money.
What does that have to do with Charlie?
And big checks are.
What does this have to do with the death of Charlie Kirk? It's so far off base. This is what happened with the whole nonsense about the First Lady of France being born a man, based on her words. It's no longer a theory or an opinion when you keep purporting it to be a fact, or you keep trying to link it, and you're doing it consistently to where people start to believe it. That's what he was just saying. If people continue to believe all these horrible things about Jewish people, this is how you end up with scenarios like the Holocaust, which is horrific. Millions of people died, lost their lives. And for what? Because one person got millions of other people to believe that they were vermin. Candace, had she ever experienced any hardship that she could relate to? Because this is insane. She went from going hammer time on the First Lady of France to now this.
Being written. That pressure was increasing every single day. In fact, he was telling the truth even about Jeffrey Epstein. Take a listen.
Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who was obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, but there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a LARPer. Epstein was cast for a specific role, and he played it really well. The sweatpants and the Harvard jacket, the kind of disheveled hair, looking as if he was so smart and above the clouds that he was doing advanced mathematic equations on the back of napkins. But if you actually go into some of the videos of people that met with Epstein at the time, they said he was awfully unimpressive when it came to finance and markets and economics. And it's nothing new that if you're in the intel agencies, you want to try and get as much blackmail on powerful people as possible. Easy, not hard. And this is no longer just speculation. First of all, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, Saudi intelligence, or maybe he was just a hired gun. Maybe he was just the guy that countries would go to and park a couple $100 million and say, hey, can you get one of the members of the royal family with a 13-year-old so we can get them to do what we want to do? Members of Congress are actively being blackmailed. The Epstein playbook is being used on a daily basis. Jeffrey Epstein was not a financier. He was not a hedge fund manager. Jeffrey Epstein was a key player in a multi-decade blackmail operation against the most powerful people on the planet.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It seems to conflict with BB's narrative a little bit. Yeah, just a tiny bit. I do want to say this. It's important.
And I mean, I'm going to say this. I do believe that she could have some deep loyalty for him. Sharon, you're not wrong. I mean, if they were like brother and sister, like I said, I don't know the extent of their relationship, so I can't speak to it. And I'm certainly not here to debunk that. I'm just trying to figure out how this Israeli prime minister somehow now has some role in this death that she purports. That's where I'm lost at. I'm not, I just, where is this going with the Israeli prime minister? Like, how is he got something to do with it to the point where she is going in on Bibi Netanyahu? It's so crazy. Hey, Witty Kitty, Candace needs to go somewhere and sit down. Yeah, she needs to take some days off of social media. I get it. And if they're close like this, I'm not taking it away from her that she could be seriously, tremendously hurt and angry and upset. But the way it's being displayed all over social media is becoming very dangerous. And it's going to lead to her getting sued yet again by another world leader. That's what I'm talking about here. She's going to get sued again. This is insane.
Because I am angry. I will obviously, I pray to move on from this phase, but it's a fire in my belly right now. To those of you who think that you are going to replace Charlie Kirk, okay? Kings are born. You don't just get to depose and tell us that we're going to follow this individual, okay? I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA. You put a shill in Charlie Kirk's chair, in Charlie Kirk's company, and you try to tell us to follow that individual.
Wow.
I will be an enemy of you. There will be nothing that can stop me. Okay. And I want you guys to say, this is not a threat. This is a promise. There will be nothing that can stop me. I will release every single text message. So to those of you who are trying that, I'm seeing the messages. I am telling you to back off right now. Like
What?
right now. Don't do it. Okay. Don't you think about it. I know exactly who you are. I know exactly who you were that were exerting pressure. Don't you pretend to be no.
It's my understanding that they gave the company over to Erica Kirk, his wife. So that's that. I don't think it would have been appropriate to give anyone else the mantle. So Erica Kirk is now the CEO or the president of Turning Point. Am I correct on that? Or correct me if I'm wrong.
Now and say nice things about Charlie Kirk and think you're going to slide into his chair. Okay. Over my dead body, which I'm sure can be arranged.
She could
now,
be.
I'm going to take pause. We're going to go to some sponsors and we're going to get into what we are being told by the agencies. There are definitely some holes. Maybe more is coming out. First, this is fantastic that Preborn is doing this. Every heartbeat tells a story. And at Preborn, they give moms in crisis the chance to hear that heartbeat for free. And that's exactly
I think she should be doing some advertising.
proof of authority instead, a DAO where contributors and not code Candace. Okay. Let's get into what we know about
she didn't do an intro, but she's doing all these promos. Like, take out the promos, Candace. You're talking about the loss of your friend. Take these promos out.
The Charlie Kirk assassination thus far in terms of what the authorities are telling us. First, I just want to toss it to Michael Savage because the energy of this, what Michael Savage had to say about everything that we're hearing is pretty much all of us right now. Take a listen.
The so-called FBI, something's wrong. I know I shouldn't do this. I'm risking an awful lot to go up against this FBI, the MAGA FBI. Something's very wrong with what I just heard. I mean, I watched it. I was hoping that they had caught the bastard who shot Charlie. So we saw a video of a person jumping off the roof. It looked very legitimate to me. However, there was no rifle in his hand. Now, the Mauser does not break down very easily, incidentally, for those of you who know weapons. Something's wrong with the whole thing. They're trying to claim he removed the barrel from the Mauser and fit the receiver and stock in his backpack and barrel in his pants, like all in 2 seconds. It is not easy to remove a Mauser barrel or index it after reinstalling and remain accurate. We are not hearing or seeing reality. And by the way, the photo of the rifle allegedly left in the woods has the barrel installed. So we're supposed to believe a guy is on the run after killing Charlie Kirk, and he pauses in the woods to reinstall a barrel, and he leaves it for us to find, the FBI to find. I don't believe a word of it. I shouldn't do this. I know I'm putting myself at risk, but I can't take it anymore. I can't take the bullshit from this fucking government. It's lying to us. Something's wrong. Something's so wrong. It's sickening.
Sickening is definitely the right adjective, I think.
So I said that when I read the actual charging doc, that I didn't see anything about where the weapon was before the Tyler Robinson used it. It wasn't picked up in any camera of how the weapon got on the roof. Was it placed there before the event? There's no information about a camera picking up him possibly pulling the weapon out of his backpack and assembling it. In the first original indictment, and then with the most recent one here, and I want to just read. I'm not going to read this whole thing. This is 10 pages long, you all. I just want to show you all what bothers me about this, right? So this is the in the 4th Judicial District Court, Utah County, State of Utah, the State of Utah versus Tyler Robinson. I scrolled down real fast because I think it had his address up there and I didn't want to put it up there. Of course, they have the counts here. Here's charges for the defendant. Count 1, aggravated murder. And let's see. Hold on. I don't want to lose my space in this. There we go. All right. Aggravated murder. Capital felony in violation of Utah Code Statute 76-5-202, where he knowingly and intentionally caused the death of Charlie Kirk under the following circumstance. The defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to another individual other than Charlie Kirk and the defendant. This carries not less than 25 years up to life. They are definitely going for the death penalty here. So conviction of this offense may carry the death penalty, or pursuant to Utah Code 76-3-207.7, a mandatory term of imprisonment for life without parole, or in an indeterminate term of not less than 25 years, and that may be for life. And then, of course, this charge was added on from the original charge sheet. Victim targeting enhancement, where he intentionally selected Charlie Kirk, according to state law there. violent offense committed in the presence of a child, aggravating factor, because there were minor children out present at the event itself. They added on this charge, and he has a count 2 felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, first degree felony. This is just the weapon that he used to take his life. Then they have obstruction of justice, a second degree felony. Then they have a count 4 obstruction of justice, second degree felony. So that's 2 counts of that. And then count 5, tampering with a witness, third degree felony. Count 6, tampering with a witness. Count 7, violent offense committed in the presence of a child. And then, of course, victim targeting enhancement added on under that count. So under the probable cause statement is basically supposed to be the list of facts of what occurred. They talk about the weapon here. On September 10, at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Counts 1 and 2. Police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action .3-06 rifle nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to the police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. They did a DNA test. DNA test that was consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the weapon. So that, of course, speaks to count 3 and count 4. And told his lover/roommate to delete incriminating text messages, count 5, which is the obstruction, and not to talk to police, which is count 6. And then children were present at the time of the shooting, so hence count 7. So I just want to go down to where, like I said, when they speak on once he got up to the roof, what I didn't see still is how the weapon came into view. I just don't understand it. So let's see here. Approximately 15 minutes. You know, I'm gonna go to the surveillance. I just want to get straight to it. Okay. At the moment of the shot, a UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point, and I don't want to miss anything. Because I don't, like I said, I already don't see the information about how the weapon came out. Did he have the weapon already there assembled? Did he take it out the backpack and put it together? And that's what the gentleman was speaking about. That's not an easy weapon to take apart or put together like that. You know, especially with him having a scope added to it as well. That's not something you can do in 2 or 3 seconds. So that's what makes it so weird for that information to be missing here. When it comes to at what point does the weapon come into view? Was it already there, or did he bring it there with him? And that should be listed here very plain and simple and clear for people to read. And it's not. So he was approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk on the roof area. They speak of him, because I had it exactly where I wanted to start with. To access the suspected location, the person has climbed over. Okay. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, the person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below. The UVU officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Kirk's seat. He also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof, impressions in the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing cross the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15 p.m. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view, see this here? Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, how long is that short time? The camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area the UVU officer recognized as where the suspected sniper had dropped into a prone shooting position. Nothing before this, between him getting out of the camera's view and then getting into position, the prone shooting position. Where do you see the gun come into play? Where does the gun come into play? Does that make sense? I don't see anything that shows, okay, at this time, here's where he pulled the weapon out of his backpack, or he pulled it from under a towel or behind a rock. Where do you see the weapon come into play? That's what I'm wondering. So, LLC, I think what we're seeing is her responding to all the hate talk about Charlie, all the lies. She's trying to put it together. Looks messy where Candace isn't usually messy. Yeah, she isn't usually messy, but I mean, she's been a little reckless with this whole thing with the French president. But I'm just trying to figure out, like, where in this document here, where in this document do they say anything about he put the gun together, or it was already on the roof, or it talks about him putting it in a towel, but that was after the shot. What about before the shot? Was it already there and assembled? Was the weapon already on the roof and assembled, and all he had to do was sit it down and lay in the position to shoot it? You mean to tell me that this boy carried something in his backpack, went out of the camera's view for what? A minute? 2 minutes? How long would it take to put that weapon together? Let's say he had it in his backpack, right? He takes it out in 2-3 parts. You got the front, the end part, the butt of the gun, and the scope. How long would it reasonably take someone to put that type of weapon together, get into a prone position to fire it? And this is around 12:15 p.m. How long would it take for that to happen? They talked about his gait. They talked about walking with a little bend in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. This unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railing off the open walkway and onto the roof. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof carrying an item whose shape is consistent with the rifle. Okay, but beforehand, where's the weapon? Are you saying that part of it was in his pants leg? That would be something where the imprint of that weapon would be seen in his pants. Those pants weren't that big. The discovery led to an intensive review of UVU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealed the following: at approximately 11:51 a.m., suspect entered campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in its center, a dark baseball cap, large sunglasses. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he proceeds across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with the rifle being hidden in his pants. So this would be beforehand, but when does it come into view? When he gets to the roof. Camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Doesn't say, okay, how did he put it together? Did he just pull it out of his pants, and was it already put together? That type of weapon, I've seen photos on it. It has the little stand as well. Then you have the scope on top. There is no way he's carrying that weapon as is in his pants. He would not be able to do that. And like the gentleman was saying, that's not something you can just easily put together in 2 seconds. That's not how that works. So that when I say that this is missing information that the jury would need to know, when did the weapon appear on the roof? And there was more than one camera up there. So why are they only using one camera? It makes no sense. So the way I see this, it's like that's vital information that, you know, even if they don't know, they still need to speak on it. How the weapon was, you know, situated on the roof, we're not able to say at this time. At least speak to that. Because otherwise it just looks like you're kind of skipping over it. And it makes this so incomplete. They're already saying it was hard to get a clear image of his face. He drops the item. They show that he drops the item, but they don't show what happened when he got on the roof. No shell casings were found on the roof. Oh, Lord. Like it adds so many loopholes to this. And then it goes into the text messages and all of that. So, I mean, here's the full, it's like 10 pages long. The rest of this is text messages to his roommate. And then it counts again. And then signed by the Utah County Attorney, Jeffrey Gray. So, all you see is these text messages, which, you know, they read like a 12-year-old sent to another 12-year-old. It's so crazy. But yet, we can't see exactly how the gun ended up on the rooftop. Was it put together? How was this out of view? There had to be more than one camera up there, because I know there are at least 2 cameras up there, stacked on top of each other from different angles. They also have drones at the campus. So why not just use the drone? Like that, I mean, there has to be another camera angle that to show exactly how that weapon was either assembled or brought to the rooftop, and showing him pulling it out of his pants or his backpack or something. Because otherwise, I'm prone to believe that it was already there and he didn't really have to do anything but get over to the weapon, take the towel off of it, and get into position and use it. Then the question would be, who put it there? And where are the camera footages to show that? Because this isn't telling me much of anything. And that's a loophole they're going to have to close up. They're going to have to answer that question before they put this in front of a jury, because the jury will ask the same question. How did the weapon end up on the roof? So this is something else. Something else. All right, y'all. Let's get back to this. Crash out of Candace Owens. Oh, come on.
I think to describe how a lot of us are feeling. And all I know how to do is to gather information, to research, and to investigate. And nothing is making sense. Now, it could not be making sense because we've not arrived at the conclusion. The FBI, I will say, has recently come out and said they're looking for another person. Good, because what we have so far obviously cannot be it. I feel, I was insisting that everybody read that book, Chaos, about the Charles Manson murders. And what we learn from that book is that if the government does want to hide something, what they do is they give you so much information that you can't, you don't even know what's real. So many different possible ways that things could have gone down, so many different manners, so many people speaking, so many publications publishing. And it's just meant to be chaotic, to drive you crazy and to just go, okay, I'm just going to accept whenever the authority says something and not prod any further. We can't allow that to happen here. I won't allow that to happen here, because this something terrible has traumatized the world, okay? And I feel as though when it comes to this, the media, the government, the talking heads, everyone is confusing us about what actually took place with Charlie Kirk, this event, how it got set up. I even would like to know who picked the venue, okay? Here's what we know thus far, and I will tell you who the exact source is and what video they presented. So the first bit of proof regarding that day happened at 8:07 a.m. According to TMZ, they have footage, and we're going to show you it, which shows a man at 8:07 a.m., so hours before the shooting, wearing a maroon t-shirt and light shorts, as you were seeing on your screen right now, hands in his pockets, that is just walking outside of university grounds, okay? Now, Governor Cox tells us that at 8:29, which is an interesting timeline, Governor Cox tells us that that is when the shooter, Tyler Robinson, arrived at UVU campus in a plain maroon t-shirt, light colored shorts, and a black hat with a white logo. So essentially he's saying that what that person we saw walking down the street right there arrived on campus at 8:29. I'm going to allow you to hear Governor Cox say that himself. Take a listen.
Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes.
So what's interesting, already confusing to me, is that TMZ shows him already walking. We're supposed to believe he walked, parked his car, and then walked onto campus. They're saying that after that video that you just saw of him walking, he got into his car and then drove to campus, and at 8:29 p.m. on campus is when he arrives. Already confusing, but let's just keep going. We don't need to poke holes. Let's just keep going with the narrative. Then we're back to TMZ, and they release that at 11:49 a.m., they have footage of the shooter who has now changed his outfit. We're supposed to gather that, again, on a doorbell cam, and he's in a different outfit. So this is 11:49 a.m. Charlie Kirk has not yet been shot. Take a look at this. Okay, and for those of you that are listening to this on audio, you are going to see someone who appears to be limping. Okay, so maybe he changed his outfit at some point and now he's limping. And the idea that we're seeing floated is that he's limping because he's holding the gun in his pants. Okay, that's kind of what's been floated. Okay, that does not particularly come from the feds. I don't believe so, but he's limping now and he's got on a different outfit. Okay, 11:52 a.m. And we were actually going to check this, by the way, but I think that we had the FBI say that was when he arrived on campus. Maybe that's not accurate. But so let me just skip off of that because, Skylar, we should actually look to research that. But at 12:23 p.m. is when Charlie Kirk is shot. Okay. And 12:23 p.m. is when that in that same minute is when we have footage that shows us that as the crowd ducks and it's blurry, the shooter runs across the rooftop. I'm going to tell you why that's significant. So 12:23, Charlie Kirk is shot, and we are going to have an angle of that and the image of the black person in black rather, that is running across the rooftop. Take a look at this. They're down clearly. And right away, look at that. Okay. And we have another, the footage shows us, there's another actually clip that I was looking for, Skylar, there that actually shows him running across the rooftop. You guys may have seen it. The reason why that footage is problematic, as you start to see them ducking and then you see the shooter immediately start moving across the rooftop, is that their narrative is that he disassembled the gun and then started running. So that's a bit confusing to us of how he...
Well, it was confusing on how he got the gun on the roof to begin with. So I want to show this clip right quick of Michael Savage. She had his video. She just played his clip, but he responded. So we're going to go to my brother, Jay Witt. Shout out to him for getting this clip. Jay Witt podcast here. Michael Savage responded to that clip that she used in the video we just watched here. So I want you all to see how he comes back with this response, because I think it's, it's not just that, but it's her whole trying to connect this to Israel thing that rubbed him definitely the wrong way. So let's check out Michael Savage's response to this.
First, I just want to toss it to Michael Savage. Take a listen.
The so-called FBI, something's wrong. Let me tell you something. That's the rhetoric that's going to get people killed, Candace. Shut your mouth. Period. And don't link me. I don't need you. I've been around long before you. I don't need your goddamn audience to follow me. They can all go themselves if that's the they believe in. And I don't give a damn if you don't like me cursing. I've had enough of this.
Oh, man, this is going to be spicy. The other day, Candace Owens referred to Michael Savage, who is on the Mount Rushmore of talk radio.
Goodness.
She referred to him and his concerns about the FBI investigation into Charlie Kirk. And she used a clip of his as if to kind of sound like she was in agreement with him or that he was in agreement with her theories. Well, it didn't really go the way that Candace probably thought it should go. Check this out.
Okay, let's get into what we know about the Charlie Kirk assassination thus far in terms of what the authorities are telling us. First, I just want to toss it to Michael Savage, because the energy of this, what Michael Savage had to say about everything that we're hearing is pretty much all of us right now. Take a listen.
The so-called FBI, something's wrong. I know I shouldn't do this. I'm risking an awful lot to go up against this FBI, the MAGA FBI. Something's very wrong with what I just heard. I mean, I watched it. I was hoping that they had caught the bastard who shot Charlie. So we saw a video of a person jumping off the roof. It looked very legitimate to me. However, there was no rifle in his hand. Now, the Mauser does not break down very easily, incidentally, for those of you who know weapons. Something's wrong with the whole thing. They try to claim he removed the barrel from the Mauser and fit the receiver and stock in his backpack and barrel in his pants, like all in 2 seconds. It is not easy to remove a Mauser barrel or index it after.
Yes, and I looked up the actual gun itself in the last video where we talked about the weapon and something being off about it, and that key piece of information about how the weapon ended up on the roof to begin with before he used it, and then to say that he separated it, put it in his pants or his backpack within that short frame of time where he's running across the roof, it's impossible. And then, of course, he admitted to leaving it behind and was hoping no one found it. So now Michael Savage is basically saying it's that type of weapon is not easy to disassemble. So I'm glad he said that, because I'm not a gun expert, but I know based on what I've researched on that weapon, you can't just put that thing together or take it apart within 10-15 seconds. It's not that easy to do and use it properly. So my opinion is that the weapon was already there based on the lack of information of how it got there on the roof. Whatever comes up in the investigation, great. But so far, we're not seeing how the weapon got on the roof to begin with. And it's my opinion that it was placed on the roof prior to the event, making it easier for the shooter to simply pull out and use. Because they knew there would be a lot of time trying to put it together. Where you're talking about there's Mauser barrel, index, and the scope. That's at least 3 good parts of that weapon, plus the mount that goes underneath it. So that's 4 parts of that weapon. No way he did that in 20 seconds. No way.
Installing and remain accurate. We are not hearing or seeing reality. And by the way, the photo of the rifle allegedly left in the woods has the barrel installed. So we're supposed to believe a guy is on the run after killing Charlie Kirk, and he pauses in the woods to reinstall a barrel, and he leaves it for us to find, the FBI to find. I don't believe a word of it. I shouldn't do this. I know I'm putting myself at risk, but I can't take it anymore. I can't take the bullshit from this fucking government. Is lying to us. Something's wrong. Something's so wrong. It's sickening.
Sickening is definitely the right adjective, I think, to describe how a lot of us are feeling. And all I know how to do is to gather information, to research, and to investigate. And nothing is making sense.
Has she left it at that? That's fine. But she tying in the Israeli prime minister.
Welcome to the Savage Nation. It's very late at night.
Come on.
I've been resisting doing a broadcast today. I started in my mind to write 3 of them, but this is the only one I want to talk about. It'll be very brief. I didn't know who Candace Owens was. I know she had a large following. I know the right wing loved her. And suddenly she started to link my commentary to her site, and we got a lot of visitors through Candace Owens. So the more I looked into it, the realization occurred to me that she is nothing different.
Yeah, they got to be lying about something.
Than a black racist of England. Now, just use logic for 2 minutes and I'll put to rest the lies that Candace Owens is putting out about Jews.
He said,
and she's going to wind up getting Jews killed if she keeps it up. Let me be very
what? Hold on. He called her
lies
black
that Candace
racist.
Owens is putting out about Jews, and she's going to wind up getting Jews killed if she keeps it up. Nation is very late at night.
Hold on.
I've been resisting doing a broadcast today. I started in my mind to write 3 of them, but this is the only one I want to talk about. It'll be very brief. I didn't know who Candace Owens was. I know she had a large following. I know the right wing loved her. And suddenly she started to link my commentary to her site, and we got a lot of visitors through Candace Owens. So the more I looked into it, the realization occurred to me that she is nothing different than a black racist of England. Now, let's just use logic for 2 minutes and put to rest the lies that Candace Owens is putting out about Jews, and she's going to wind up getting Jews killed if she keeps it up. Let me be very clear. She's not nuts. She's not nuts at all. She just has latched on to a methodology to get morons to listen to her and tries to put pieces together that don't match. So she says that Netanyahu killed Charlie Kirk, or Israel killed Charlie Kirk, more specifically. Well, let me ask you something. If that was true, how long do you think Candace Owens would be breathing? If Netanyahu and Mossad is so all-powerful and so demonic that they could kill people in Lebanon with exploding pagers, they can kill people in Iran who develop nuclear weapons, but they can't get to Candace Owens?
But I don't like little lies. When there is one lie, there's 20.
Some Palookaville nobody who dropped out of college, who has no degrees and claims she has 2 degrees. Yes, that matters. Now, I'm going to tell you something. We had enough of Al Sharpton.
Wow.
We had enough of, who was that preacher? Well, I don't even see if he's around anymore. The black nationalist preacher. He preached the same for years. The Jews did this. The Jews did that. Let me tell you something. That's the rhetoric that's going to get people killed, Candace. Shut your mouth. Period. And don't link me. I don't need you. I've been around long before you. I don't need your goddamn audience to follow me. They can all go themselves if that's the they believe in. And I don't give a damn if you don't like me cursing. I've had enough of this. Charlie Kirk loved Israel. He spoke highly of Israel. And she says they killed Charlie Kirk. Do you understand how dangerous her rhetoric is? This nobody from Nowhereville, this nowhere Palooka, this nothing, this uneducated dolt who came out of nowhere and attracted an audience of unwashed morons who want to hate Jews and blame Jews for the loss in their own life. You don't have a girlfriend, it's the Jews. You lost your job, it's the Jews. Now, don't get me wrong. I have criticized liberal Jews my entire career. I hate liberal Jews more than you can imagine. I hate Larry David. Let me be very clear. I think he's a piece of shit. I hate Adam Schiff. I think he's vermin. I hate Charles Schumer. I think he's the lowest kind of Judenrat from the concentration camps. So don't put me in the category of the Judenrats and the Larry Davids. But on the other hand, try to use your brain for 2 seconds, you Nazi bastards, you.
Whoa.
You believe this black racist who says the Jews killed Charlie? Nothing good could come of that other than some unhinged lunatic like the trans-loving prick who allegedly shot Charlie Kirk can go crazy and kill some Jews in a synagogue because of this deranged black who's making a bundle demonizing Jews the same way Hitler did. She's a Louis Farrakhan in a dirty skirt. I'll admit it's late at night. And I'll admit that I can't take any more of this blaming the Jews. I know that most Christians don't go along with the Candace Owens and the Tucker Carlsons. They're making a fortune by demonizing Jews, and they say it's only Israel. They're full of shit. They're full of shit, by the way.
Goodness.
So I'm going to end the way I began. It's a very short one. You're going to use logic and reason. The same Netanyahu, the same Mossad that she says killed Charlie Kirk because he was softening on Israel, couldn't kill her in 2 seconds. The same people who care for the Hamas in Lebanon, the same Jews who blew up Iranian nuclear scientists, the same Mossad couldn't kill this black racist if they wanted to. How stupid can you people be? How dumb can you be? The answer is endlessly dumb. I have nothing more to say. I've proven my point. Candace Owens, I don't need your linking my podcasts or my tweets. I don't need it. I was around long before you were. No one ever heard of you. All of a sudden you come along and you find a new shtick. Hate the Jew. And look at this. Look how brilliant that black person is. You call her a conservative? She's no different than any of the black haters from Black Lives Matter. She's no different than the Palestinian Liberation Organization that blew up Jewish children in buses. She is no different than any of the Jew haters that I've seen in my entire life. And I've taken all day to think about speaking about this.
Wow.
Mr. Savage is a Jew. Mr. Savage is a true conservative Jew, as are 30% of Jews in America.
Woo, y'all.
Okay, that's something else. Oh, man. Oh, brutal does not begin to describe. Oh, my God.
Well, it's going to be
that is something else. So that was from her previous video. And I didn't want to watch all of the videos together because I don't want this to be too long. But I just want to kind of touch on some things in the last 4 videos she's done where it's like you clearly can see she needs a she needs a break. So this is her reading this indictment here. I'm not gonna play that because I have it. I've kind of read over it. I read over the parts that to me, you know, is I find to be disturbing. I wanted to get to this part with the Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith thing here. Okay. So yeah, I want to get to this part here in this video. She has a lot of ads and promos in her videos. I mean, why are you doing these videos? You lost your friend and you throwing in all these promos in it. You're worth $220 million, girl. You're not gonna miss out on any money. You got 4 or 5 shows where you don't do promos just so that you can stick to, you know, talking about him. You already made money off of lying on Brigitte Macron being born a man. I mean, come on. So I just want to check out this part here, you guys. So let's get to it.
Promo code Candace. Okay, so I want to be very clear here. No one, and I mean absolutely no one, outside of my husband and Erica Kirk has the power to shut me up right now. That's it. 2 people. If you got to make an appeal, you got to go to them, okay? That's what I just said is meant to be a dig to the donors that are making frantic calls, trying to politic this situation under control because they know I'm telling the truth, okay? Frantic calls from Seth Dillon. Oh my God. The truth is that Charlie was under immense pressure and he was facing financial threats over his shifting stance on Israel, over who he was hosting, from his podcast to people that were on stage at America Fest, Dave Smith, Tucker Carlson. That is reality, my friends. Again, want those people to know your money means nothing to me. I already said no to it. That's why I don't care to be in those circles. Make me persona non grata. I know what I did wrong. I looked you in your face and I said no to your money, okay? Don't push me or I will name more names. What happens in the Hamptons is not going to stay in the Hamptons, okay? Bring in our movie poster. I know what you did this summer. Okay, got to add Josh
What?
Hammer's face to that poster as well because suddenly everybody's talking. So let's buckle up for some more indisputable facts. Okay, people that were at this weekend soiree in which Aaron Wexler sent out some of the invitations to, they're confirming that Charlie was pressed. Now, this was a multi-day weekend, but they're all like, you know, at every layer, Charlie was facing pressure, questions from.
Hold on, let me go back. What did she say?
Grata, calls trying to politic this situation under control because they know I'm telling the truth. Okay, frantic calls from Seth Dillon. Oh my God. The truth is that Charlie was under immense pressure and he was facing financial threats over his shifting stance on Israel, over who he was hosting, from his podcast to people that were on stage at America Fest, Dave Smith, Tucker Carlson. That is reality, my friends. Again, want those people to know your money means nothing to me. I already said no to it. That's why I don't care to be in those circles. Make me persona non grata. I know what I did wrong. I looked you in your face and I said no to your money. Okay, don't push me or I will name more names. What happens in the Hamptons is not going to stay in the Hamptons. Okay, bring in our movie poster. I know what you did this summer. Okay, got to add Josh Hammer's face.
This is something else. It's like making this more salacious than it needs to be, than it should be. Now you have this movie poster thing up here. Come on. How does this have anything to do with Charlie Kirk's death? I mean, seriously, it's like a segue into here's more things that I don't like about the Israeli prime minister under the guise of me being angry about his death. And yeah, the Israeli prime minister had to do something. Like, this is only going to get you so far, Candace.
That poster as well because suddenly everybody's talking.
It's
So
more
let's buckle up for
salacious
some more
than anything
indisputable
now.
facts. Okay, people that were at this weekend soiree in which Aaron Wexler sent out some of the invitations to, they're confirming that Charlie was pressed. Now, this was a multi-day weekend, but they're all like, you know, at every layer, Charlie was facing pressure, questions from Seth Dillon. There's no way around that truth that they were not happy with his position, his modified position. I have it on first-person account that on the first day of the retreat, of which there were smaller meetings that took place, and then the retreat itself, Charlie presented, and he explained that he felt that it was wrong that he couldn't publicly criticize Israel. He apparently used an example that if he tweeted, and again, we're riffing here, but something along the lines of Charlie said, if I tweeted, I think that Bibi Netanyahu should resign, that he would then be unfairly attacked. And Seth Dillon then allegedly, he pipes up and goes back and forth with him quite aggressively, saying like, yeah, because that would be anti-Semitic. I heard that after Charlie left, Josh Hammer was upset. Josh Hammer, I know for a fact, was a part of the beehive that was swarming him about people that he was having at his conferences. I know for a fact. So if you'd like to dispute that, Josh Hammer, and release your text messages and pretend that you were just chill and supportive and thumbs up, cool. I welcome you on this platform, okay? You are allowed to literally sit next to me and say, that isn't reality, and here's how it all went down. When I was the greatest supporter and I never cared about who he had, even though I got destroyed in debate by Dave Smith on his stage, I was cool with that. I love free speech. It's amazing, okay? I'm offering you my platform to do that. And I'm not here. I'm not in the business of smearing, okay? I need answers. And I don't like the fact that people are telling small lies and they're misrepresenting things, okay? Now, as I've said multiple times, what I am uncovering here is a response to what I feel was a severe misrepresentation by Bibi and his echo here in America, of which I would say Josh Hammer and Seth Dillon are part of that echo, okay? I am in no way.
Did you say I'm not in the business of smearing? Candace, that's all you're doing right now. With two world leaders so far. What are you talking about? But she doesn't even speak about Trump this way. But you've gone after Emmanuel Macron and now the Israeli prime minister. But you won't stay on Trump's behind about the Epstein files. I'm confused. And you want these people to come on your show and talk to you and explain to you something. Once again, they don't have to do that. They're not legally obligated to come on your platform and answer your questions. This whole self-entitlement to this stuff is, you're taking away the seriousness of the situation here, of what happened to this kid in front of national television. This is insane.
Attacking that narrative and associating it with the events that took place on Utah's campus. But I don't like the lies. Let's attack this lead up. Okay, let's attack this lead up because there's no reason for Bibi to have lied, as I've said many times. We talked about Bill Ackman a lot yesterday. I talked about Bibi Netanyahu, the phone call, the do you want to come to Israel kind of trip kind of thing that to me, as I've experienced, has been a laced threat. When I was going off the reservation of Israel by asking perfectly sensible questions, I kind of got these invites from people like, once you speak to this person, you'll see things. Anyways, Bill Ackman responds to yesterday's episode, okay? And I have it. Hold on. I printed this out. Let me find it. Okay. Here it is.
Girl,
Actually,
you
right in
have
front of
got
me.
to
There are
take
two
some
ways
days
to
off.
describe his response. I would describe it either as a CVS receipt. You buy one item. Next thing you know, you're holding 27 pages. You don't know why. I don't understand. I bought one chapstick, and here we are. You can also describe it as like an online recipe, you know, something looks good. Oh, see an online recipe. Oh, I want to make that. You want to know how to make latkes. But first, homemade chef Ackman has to tell you about how this recipe reminds him of his Bubby's house and that Hanukkah they spent in Israel and all the kids love it. And you're like, bro, just how many cups of shredded potato? Please, please, just give us the ingredients. This is his tweet. I printed his tweet out on 2 pages. Okay. I don't know. You got to bring back the word count. This Twitter was not meant for this. Okay. And because I will not be teaching a seminar or this semester on Ackman's 955 word response, I'll just provide you here with the highlights. Okay. So he sets it up that he's a victim of something that never happened. Everybody watched my episode yesterday. Okay. I never said the sentence, Bill Ackman blackmailed Charlie Kirk. That never happened.
See
but of course, he's doing the typical, like, you know, the Israeli brand thing is I'm a victim.
You all see what's happening yet again. This afternoon at Real Candace O slandered me by accusing me of staging an intervention with Charlie Kirk in which threats were made with respect to his supposed evolving stance on Israel at an event I hosted in the Hamptons. Candace also intimidated that I blackmailed Charlie. Intimated that I blackmailed Charlie. I'm sorry. On the show, Candace said that she would be very happy for me to dispute this narrative. While it pains me to drive more traffic to her program, I am responding here to clear my name. It saddens me that we live in a society where social media influencers seek to monetize the tragic death of Charlie Kirk. The first 2 paragraphs in and of itself is like a repeat of what she did to Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron. This pattern of behavior is going to be used against her in the court of law because they're going to say, Your Honor, this woman has the propensity to slander and make false statements against individuals in any topic and lie. And then we'll turn around and say she did not say that when it's in videos, and then wants to challenge people to interviews or to answer all these dumb questions or expects people to give her responses as if people owe her something. And now look, another person has fallen victim to this shit. Candace, you have another person accusing you of slander. This is what? Number 3 now? We got the French president and his wife. You have the Israeli prime minister. Now you have Bill Ackman. How many more bodies are you going to catch with the slander and the defamation? They're not going to dismiss that motion to dismiss either, because Candace has had 2 other cases heard in the state of Delaware, one of which she had the same judge she has now, Judge Sheldon Rennie. They're not going to dismiss it. The last case she had in the state of Delaware by the same judge was only dismissed because Candace failed to state a claim and she was the petitioner. In this matter with the Macron, she's the defendant. It's standard for them to seek a dismissal. That goes with the territory. But yet and still, she sat in a video and said, they're not suing me because I called her a man, when that is the entire premise of the lawsuit. And now another person is saying you're slandering them. Candace, you got to stop, girl. This is insane.
Let me tell you why I'm a victim. So he just sets it up. I don't know why he's putting these things in parentheses of Charlie's supposed evolving stance. Okay, we can watch clips of that in a little bit. It's not supposed, and saying it's supposed doesn't make it so. But he then says Candace also intimated that I quote unquote blackmailed Charlie. No full sentence there because I never said it. I never said Bill Ackman blackmailed Charlie. There was a file presented, do this or else. Okay, and I wouldn't have said that. Okay. The first 5 paragraphs of this never-ending tweet are regarding how he met Charlie, which is not something that was ever in contention, okay? I followed Charlie Kirk on X. I admired him. I connected him. DMs May of this year, expressed interest. We got on Zoom. We talked to this on Zoom, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you just can just delete. Nobody cares. Not a single person cares. He then takes us through how the weekend event came together, and he even provides us with a detailed itinerary of that event. I mean, I don't know if you need to hear the itinerary. He gets so detailed that he even has this sentence here where he wants us to know that it was even, quote unquote, punctuated by meals. Oh, okay. That's good to know that the event, those who attended it, the sessions were punctuated by meals. I don't care, Bill. I literally don't care at all what you ate. I understand there was an itinerary. I just don't care. Conspicuously missing. Okay, then it kind of wraps it up. He's like, in short, this was not an intervention to blackmail Charlie into adopting certain views on Israel. It was nothing of the sort. Okay, buddy, I never said you blackmailed Charlie. I asked you if this moment happened. I asked you about Bibi Netanyahu. I asked you about whether or not there was pressure that was put on Charlie, which the attendees themselves are telling me that this happened. Okay, so what's going on here? Also, it's rather conspicuous given yesterday's episode, and of course he had a big timing here, like I shouldn't even respond to her, she's so widow. I just love billionaires, but they're just so full of themselves. Their arrogance matches their bank accounts. Like, he's got billions. Let's just take it. Let's he couldn't do anything wrong. Yeah, you need to answer basic questions. We gave you an opportunity to do that. Conspicuously missing is you not addressing.
It's rich people problems. Candace, you're worth $220 million. And that's combining your income and your husband. Plus, he's a whole lord or something. He's got multiple properties in the States. I mean, come on. You're repeating something someone told you through a third party, and yet that source has not been, you don't have to reveal all your sources, but how do you verify the information they're sending you? He's giving context. Charlie Kirk, my understanding, and I'm just reading on the comments here. All right, Cheryl said Charlie was paid to appear to give his opinions. A lot of people who invited him tried to put limitations on him. He always stuck to his integrity, no matter the threats. There you go. If he's invited to come out and speak, how you doing, Cecilia? And give his opinion and thoughts on things, and let's say they had dinner or something like that. If this information was relayed, all Bill Ackman is doing is giving context to the conversation and giving context to what was going on while they were discussing whatever they were discussing. You want him to come on your show and defend himself. What do you think he would even say if he did that? It would be pretty much the same thing. This is crazy. This is showing some sort of decline here. Wyoming gal said, why would Ackman need to threaten Charlie? I'm sure he was concerned about questions about Israel. Because you can't do that apparently, but Charlie said he supported Israel, so no reason to blackmail. And Manny said, I think her husband put her up to this. It seems like it's getting more salacious than it needs to be. Y'all, this is just the second one here, and I wanted to point this out because
whether or not Charlie was offered more money and funding from Bibi Netanyahu, could you help us out? Whether or not Bibi Netanyahu invited him to Israel as a last-ditch effort to reaffirm his support for Israel, or if, as I asserted and as I maintain, Charlie was being pressured throughout this event about his viewpoints on Israel, and to him, he reflected that this felt like an intervention. Okay, can you answer those basic questions? That would be great. Like I said, it's interesting you didn't even mention Bibi Netanyahu at all. You can stand up to him. Does anybody want to jump in and say, no, yeah, the letter Charlie wrote him in May was just like a glowing, he just was overcome with passion and said, I love Israel. You guys are amazing. You're beautiful. We're going to win this thing and you're perfect and doing nothing wrong. Love you, Bibi. I just find that weird that no one wants to address the substance of the claims here, whether or not maybe Bill himself has an opinion.
Maybe there's no substance to the claims, Candace. Perhaps there's no validity to it.
On whether Bibi lied by severe omission when he mentioned his last correspondences with Charlie. Because I feel like if Charlie said, I don't want to go to Israel, maybe don't bring up, I just invited him as if it was friendly and everything was great and he was just going to come out. And sadly, he won't be able to make it out here. And regarding, just the public here, if you're trying to decide what's real and what's fake, whether or not what we're telling you is real or fake, you can take Charlie in his own words. I mean, shout out to Village Crazy Lady on X. She's a great follow. She just reads Bill Ackman's diatribe and says, okay, she goes through the itinerary. Bill Ackman just confirmed that he hosted his meeting with Charlie on August 4th and 5th. Here's Charlie talking to Megyn Kelly the very next day on August 6th. Now, how do you think that meeting went down? Oh yeah, forgot to tell you that. That's the next day, okay? That is the next day that Charlie sits down and vents his frustration about how he is being treated. Take Charlie in his own words. And by the way, yesterday, we only showed one portion of what Charlie said to Megyn on that show. Go watch the full thing. Remember, he's with Bill, he's with Seth, he's in the Hamptons. Bill just confirmed that gratefully. And then suddenly, he's overcome with a need to vent about the pressure that both he and Megyn are facing as people that have traditionally always supported Israel. Let's take Charlie in his own words. Take a listen.
My contention here is that some in the pro-Israel camp are so knee-jerk about calling you anti-Semitic or getting deeply offended if you say anything that doesn't align with their narrative, that it undermines their own cause. And I have to tell you, I find it very irritating because I do feel like some of us have earned the right to have some credibility on the subject of Israel and don't want to be called those names when we have some mild pushback on some of the overreaches, whether it's, you know, whether they're winning or losing the propaganda war right now. And my contention is they've begun to lose it. And I realize it's propaganda coming at us from Hamas, but their numbers have turned here in America. They've turned, not so much with Republicans, a little bit with Republicans, but completely with the Democrat Party and with independents. They have shifted mightily from at least double digits highs to single digit lows now with when it comes to approval. And also with respect to, you and I speculated about this at the Turning Point event, whether the possibility of Jeffrey Epstein possibly being a Mossad agent or asset or affiliated with, that's been turned around on me too, to you must be anti-Semitic. What the hell? That's such bullshit. The same people who say you can criticize Israel, that's fine. We won't call you anti-Semitic if you criticize Israel. Now turn around immediately and say you're anti-Semitic for even raising that. I completely reject that. And I've raised this as a pushback against my friends on that particular strain of the aisle to watch it, because you don't want to alienate people who are openly your friends by going nuts in your crackdowns on mild pushback on anything related to Israel. Now you take it.
I'm so glad you brought this up, and I would second that, Megan. I think I have a bulletproof resume showing my defense of Israel, both on campus, on social media, to great, you know, let's just say mockery and scorn at times, right? Because I believe it, right? I believe in the scriptural land rights given to Israel. I believe in fulfillment of prophecy. And again, I'm not a theologian, but I'm a Christian. My life was changed in Israel. The spiritual energy is so amazing there. I want them to win. I've said that repeatedly.
Same.
And however, Megan, you're hitting on something very potent and important. Now, let me first say, I don't want to judge an entire group, because there's been many people in the pro-Israel world that have been very sweet, very kind, very nuanced, very Charlie, you know, you're with us. You don't have to agree all the time. However, and I will say this, the behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning biblical Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I honor the Shabbat, literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, why are you, what am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here.
I can tell you right now, from the energy that is coming out of him, the energy that's coming out of Megan, is where I was 2 years ago. Okay? I've been there. You can't even lie to, you can't even attempt to lie to me about what is pouring off of both of them. I was someone who spent my life, my political life, defending Israel. Didn't really mean anything to me. It seemed like a good, you know, argument on surface that we should support them. They're the only democracy in the Middle East. Okay, now.
It's like you said, Candace is making more of Charlie's opinion about Israel. Yes, Charlie didn't care for Bibi, but I mean, I don't think it's a matter of him not caring. I just think he has some pushback on what was going on with the war. No one likes to see, you know, innocent lives and especially children being harmed. Period. Because we have a soul and a conscience. But I feel like Candace is trying to exploit this because she's trying to connect his death to his pushback of the things that the average person could look at and say, this is wrong for them to be doing. If Israel wants to launch an attack on something, they have the weapon power, the firepower, they have the ability to do it themselves. They don't need the U.S. to do it for them. That has nothing to do with Semitism or anything. That's just a matter of they need to use their own weapons to do whatever it is they're trying to do and keep it over there. But he wanted Israel to win overall. He wanted them to prosper. He wanted them to do well. That's how he felt. He said it numerous of times. And she's taking the criticism that he had about the war itself and not wanting to see people be harmed like this. And the idea of what is it about? I mean, why are you all attacking them? I understand defense, but how much more do you need to do before you prove your point? And why are you asking the U.S. to intervene when you guys have your own firepower, your own nuclear arsenal to do whatever it is you want to do? Don't ask us to do your dirty work for you. That's a sentiment anyone can have, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. But she's taking that and now she's trying to tie it in with his death to make it seem as if his criticism of Israel asking the U.S. to help fight a war that we don't need to be involved in somehow led to him, of all people who have, you know, some criticism of that. This is what they choose to take him out over on the national stage in front of everybody. And it was like Michael Savage said. I mean, many of us have criticism about how they handled, the strikes and the attacks and all of that. But just as much as you claim that they went after Charlie Kirk for that, they could easily go after anyone else. Why would they go after him but not anyone else? Make that make sense. And that was what Michael Savage's rebuttal was. I mean, who's to say Candace is safe or anyone else is safe then if that be the case? She's trying to pull in the kickback that Charlie received from criticizing Israel on a couple of issues, although he overall supported him, to say this is what cost him his life. That's extraordinarily dangerous to do, because it wouldn't even be worth taking Charlie Kirk out when there are others who've said far worse. And they haven't been subjected to that. That's what Michael Savage's point is. Why would they choose Charlie Kirk before they go choose some of the worst that actually hate Israel? Make that make sense. I mean, they went after Megan and others that have any negative comments on Israel. They went after a lot of people, but Charlie Kirk was assassinated in front of national television. And Michael Savage's point was, why would they do that to Charlie Kirk, but not anyone else that had an opinion? How do you automatically shift this to being some fault or blame with Israel and the Israeli PM, when that same thing could happen to anyone that has some negative comments about Israel? If that be the case, they'd be taking out half the planet. And that's what Michael Savage's point is. So why link those two things up? You have no evidence to point that towards another world leader. Like, you have no evidence. Your opinion is one thing. And Candace is definitely a conspiracy theorist on her own. But when it comes to facts and evidence, you need to have that when you're talking about something that serious, where someone lost their life and the way he lost his life on a national stage over, the criticism that he had, that is nowhere near what people who actually despised Israel or the PM, why aren't they being targeted to do that? Like, I'm not saying they should be, but I'm just saying if you're gonna hear and say we're gonna take someone out because they criticized Israel, it would be the ones that hate Israel, not Charlie Kirk. What would be the real reason that Israel and the Israeli prime minister would have to even do that? Oh, two things he said that, he didn't agree with. Those two things were, you think the Israeli prime minister is going to sit here and take this much heat over two little things Charlie Kirk said that were criticism that he was okay with? It's like, it is what it is. People have the right to their opinion. Of all the people, though, we're going to sit here and take Charlie Kirk out because he criticized us? That's crazy. Like, it's not anything worthy of that. That, to me, that's all I'm saying with this. It's so insane. So I just wanted to make sure I kind of got to
Charlie was going through and what Charlie was saying.
this.
Because, and I want to be clear, to me right now, it feels, and I'm using a corporate term here, a bit like a hostile
Hold on a second.
takeover. Okay. Charlie builds the company organically on the basis of Charlie and Charlie's honest ideas. Suddenly, that company's got a lot of money, and Charlie's honest ideas are starting to change or maybe add more color. And now he's getting financial threats. He's being called names. He increasingly, he's being told who and what he's allowed to speak to, and he's taking a stance. He's taking a stand privately up to these people, and then it doesn't matter anymore because Charlie's dead, and those very same people who were pressing him are now doing, like, very quickly, trying to set in stone that, Charlie, essentially the energy is Charlie died for Israel. He's just one of us. Nobody asks any more questions. That is literally untrue, and we're not going to allow it. Okay,
you guys can
it's just
hear
not
the video.
true.
Let me know.
I'm getting even more interesting tips coming from Turning Point employees. Something, again, that I didn't even realize until they said it. Do you guys notice that, like, Bill Ackman says this thing and drops the itinerary? But I've worked for Turning Point for 2 years. You've seen Turning Point in the public. Have you ever heard of Turning Point doing a weekend summit and not publicizing it? In fact, none of those attendees, you'll remember they were taking pictures in the Hamptons, all dolled up. There was this whole ring debate happening.
I can't hear anything at all. Hold on a second. Sorry, I cannot hear anything. I'm just trying to get my headphones together. Bear with me one moment, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, by the way. I just think it's imperative to I'll get this. Okay, you guys can hear me. Okay, cool. I'll just play this out while I fix these headphones because I can't hear.
Weekend here in Israel. Like, that's the vibe that Bibi was rushing to present to the media. So why didn't you do Kirk show? I'll leave it as a question for you guys. Common sense, okay? I don't like small lies. And remember, Bibi started this. I am responding to his shameless misrepresentation of what Charlie was going through and what Charlie was saying. Because, and I want to be clear, to me right now, it feels, and I'm using a corporate term here, a bit like a hostile takeover, okay? Charlie builds the company organically on the basis of Charlie and Charlie's honest ideas. Suddenly, that company's got a lot of money, and Charlie's honest ideas are starting to change or maybe add more color, and now he's getting financial threats. He's being called names. He increasingly, he's being told who and what he's allowed to speak to, and he's taking a stance. He's taking a stand privately up to these people, and then it doesn't matter anymore because Charlie's dead, and those very same people who were pressing him are now doing, very quickly, trying to set in stone that, oh, Charlie, essentially the energy is Charlie died for Israel. He's just one of us. Nobody asks any more questions. That is literally untrue, and we're not going to allow it, okay? It's just not true. I'm getting even more interesting tips coming from Turning Point employees. Something, again, that I didn't even realize until they said it. Did you guys notice that, Bill Ackman says this thing and drops the itinerary? But I've worked for Turning Point for 2 years. You've seen Turning Point in the public. Have you ever heard of Turning Point doing a weekend summit and not publicizing it? In fact, none of those attendees, you'll remember they were taking pictures in the Hamptons, all dolled up. There was this whole ring debate happening about a girl who had gotten engaged. I think her name was Sarah Stockton. And they said her ring was too small, and they called her a broke, BITCH. There was this whole drama that was happening, which we'll unpack a different day. Maybe I'll leave today's on this tidbit. But those people never mentioned that they were in the Hamptons for a Turning Point event, or for a Turning Point weekend, which Bill is saying. Why is that? Were they told not to say anything about being at that event? Because Bill Ackman's being very open about it, but they weren't open about it at that time. We'll leave there. We will leave it right there. Okay. I will just add here that the response to.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it right there too. She then goes in on who ordered the hit. Oh my God.
And really repulsive reaction of.
I don't know exactly what whole focus is right now.
To go back and on the basis.
I just don't. Hold on. She goes over the text messages and all of that. One of the things she did point out is the changing of clothes. I thought that was, peculiar as well to be changing clothes like that.
Is all based in Mountain Time. So that says.
And where the weapon was found in this video. I'm just kind of scrolling through it, you all, because I don't know if I want to. Yeah. So I'm going to go to the last video here. This is the.
You do that, of course.
This is just, to me, it just kind of comes all out. And then she lies about the lawsuit. And it just seems like she's really unraveling. So we'll watch this last one, and then that'll be the end of it.
Right.
This
He writes, I can get close to it.
This is my first time doing a full live like this about Candace Owens, so I appreciate you all for tuning in. But I'm definitely going to be breaking this up into parts as well. It's a mini videos, so for those who don't like the 2-3 hour long, some people like long, live streams, and typically when I watch them, I put it on 1.5 speed, and then I just kind of let it play. But this is the one that really concerned me. And this is part of what I reacted to last night when she lied about the lawsuit. So Let's get to this one.
Get to the truth, having that gut instinct that something is not right. So we've been wondering yesterday, I was also doing an Instagram series of pulling everybody into what doesn't make sense about the changing of the clothes that Tyler Robinson allegedly did. And we've been wondering why it seems the feds were only willing to release a grainy image of Tyler Robinson from the day of the shooting, despite the tech stack that UVU campus has, right? There's no images that we can see that have been released of his Dodge Challenger that's supposed to be idling nearby the campus for a very long time, right? If he's, as he texted these Fed messages, him and Lance are texting, and he's telling him every second, minute by minute, what he's done. And he mentioned that the cops have done a sweep. Remember, Tyler is supposed to be babysitting the gun in that moment, waiting for the right moment to go back and quote unquote retrieve his weapon. But he sees I'm not kidding, quote unquote squad car. That's what he writes, right? He writes, I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. Squad car. Okay, yeah, no. How many times do you call a police car a squad car? Do you want to know who calls it a squad car? Someone on the squad. That's how that works. Yeah, but that's what Tyler writes, squad car. Elsewhere in this correspondence, and by the way, thanks to one of you people who commented on yesterday's episode and pointed this out to me, but elsewhere, Tyler says something that only a woman would say. That's why it didn't flag me as weird when I was reading this, and it flagged me as odd. He says to Lance, allegedly, quote, I worry about Prince. I had to leave it, referring to the rifle, in a bush where I changed outfits. Wait, changed outfits. Somebody commented, men don't say outfits. That's a woman thing. Okay, yeah, that's true. I would say I changed my outfit. A man does not say, you just say you changed clothes. You would not say an outfit. Outfit is very girly. Okay, so is this AI or is this a female Fed that put these messages together? We're not feeling like it's Tyler Robinson, that's for sure. Now, another question we ask is if there is this much available footage, why not to relieve everybody to make us feel like this is not a federal operation? Why not just release anything to the public? Well, the reason is because according to locals, many of which have emailed me, any of the footage that they had, any footage that they found, they immediately sent over to the Fed, and the Feds told them that they were not allowed to share it at all. Like there was some risk. If you share this at all, it's not going to be good for you. Like they are kind of being pressured by the Feds not to share things publicly. And that's why I would say 9/10 is beginning to remind me of 9/11, right? The Feds sweep through everything to make sure that they have all of the footage so that no one can question the narrative that they put out. It makes me think, how long did it take before they were willing to show us any footage of the alleged giant Boeing plane that hit the Pentagon building? We weren't allowed to see that for a very long time. I think someone actually in Congress had to fight to get any footage released, and you had people that were saying, no, it was a missile. Well, they swept everything nearby. So that's what this is kind of reminding me of, a Fed sweep. They pretend that they want more information, but in reality, they want to make sure that they have all of the information, all of the footage, so they can control the narrative. Except sometimes things don't go as planned. Because before people realize they have anything, or maybe when they're trying to reach out to the Feds, they're texting a friend who texts a friend. And the next thing you know, the whole neighborhood in all of Orem has something. And this is what happened. Something made its way around the entire town and into my tips line repeatedly. It is a very clear image of Tyler Robinson, allegedly taken, I'll say allegedly for safety here, but it's looking right according to my timeline, allegedly taken at 6:38 p.m. at a nearby Dairy Queen. Here is that photo that we can show you. Just take a look at this photo. What is wrong with this picture? A lot is wrong with this picture. First and foremost, 6:38 p.m., you just shot someone. You have gone through great pains to hide your face, to change your outfit. But wait, you didn't fully change your outfit, did you? I'm looking at this photo, and you're wearing jeans, and you're wearing the maroon shirt. Now we have a 50-50 combo of the outfits, and now you're showing your eyes, and you're not fearful at all that you might be recognized. Also, wow, you must have quite the stomach. You don't have a record. Next thing you know, you shoot someone, and you're like, I'm just going to go have a meal. You don't seem to be too shaken or too upset. Something problematic is the location, by the way. We mapped this out. It's about 15 minutes away from the campus at a time when we're told that he's idling by, babysitting the rifle. So you can see, we're showing you, it's about a 17-minute drive away from the campus. So there should be a lot of footage then of this Dodge Challenger driving back and forth. Okay. And like I said, the biggest thing that jumps at me is he looks kind of content there. So he's got to be a full-blown psychopath, wearing half of what the Feds told us he was wearing in the morning and half of what the Feds told us that he was wearing during the shooting. Okay. So why did he text in this exchange at all and say that he changed outfits? When you just said, I changed my t-shirt, if that's the reality, you just changed your t-shirt and that was enough? Was it just a t-shirt that he changed? The outfit, again, as I sensed yesterday, has always been problematic. I feel the outfit was the Fed mistake. It never made any sense to say that he wore an outfit onto campus, light khaki shorts and a maroon shirt, and then decided to completely change hours later. Because why wouldn't you just change the t-shirt? That actually makes more sense. Every kid wears blue jeans. You don't have to change blue jeans or change out of khaki shorts to avoid detection. That's not going to go, hey, we're stopping you because you're wearing blue jeans. That's not a thing. It would make much more sense if he had just changed his t-shirts. And like I said yesterday, if you were going to change it all, why did you have to leave campus to do that? And shouldn't the cameras have caught you either way? You take a totally different route. Again, there's cameras everywhere. So we can now plot this change, this alleged Dairy Queen stop onto our timeline. right? We can see that right there. We were very accurate when we started getting really serious about looking at a timeline, like a clean timeline. We said the first correspondence that allegedly took place between these two had to have taken place between Tyler and Lance after 6 o'clock p.m. Well, there we go. 6:38 p.m. We get this confirmed photo, or I shouldn't say a confirmed photo, an alleged photo of Tyler Robinson buying food at Dairy Queen off campus on the other side of town. And that's where we can assume, I mean, campus is supposed to be on lockdown. This is supposed to be a manhunt. That's where we can assume these text messages were around this time where Tyler Robinson is signifying that he's close to the scene of the crime. That's where we should be able to find more footage of his vehicle. Maybe you are a shop along this way near that Dairy Queen, and you should check your footage to see if around this time, 6:38 or else, that you saw a Dodge Challenger go by. Source tells me that they saw him dropping, well, near this Dairy Queen, that there's a cemetery, and he was dropping clothes into that cemetery. Now, we have not gotten anything from the feds about where the clothing was dropped off, where he changed, nothing. My question then is, what is going on? My suspicion, I maintain, is that there are multiple people that are involved. And after receiving this, that suspicion is growing. Okay. Like I said, unless that man is a cold-blooded killer, he just seems to be a la-di-da, eating some Dairy Queen, and it's not making sense. Now, there is something that another local told me that the locals are discussing that they believe actually took place, and it rings a lot truer to me, a lot truer than anything that I've heard thus far from the feds. I'm going to tell you that in a moment. But first, I decided to sort of hyper-focus on the doorbell cam footage, right? Because that mysteriously made its way to TMZ the morning after Charlie's assassination. Can we actually, what time did that footage make its way? Just so I can take a look. I'm going to go on to day 2 here. When did TMZ release the footage? Well, I don't know exactly the exact day they released the footage. I think it was, their footage said that 8:07 a.m. TMZ is the first on September 10th that tells us that there is doorbell cam footage. But I actually want to see when TMZ released it. So can you just put a note for me, Skylar, that I want to look up when TMZ announced it? I feel like it was in the morning. Okay. And so I started asking myself, like, where did that footage come from? Right? We should look into that. Let me just say this right away. As a rule, when a tragedy happens, I don't love the people who have the instinct to immediately speak to the press after a tragedy. What I mean to say is that, imagine you're on campus somewhere, a shooting happens, students are screaming, they're running, somebody is dead. I feel that a normal person's instinct is to make sure their loved ones are okay in their immediate vicinity, make sure they are okay, obviously, and then to call and alert everyone who would be concerned that you're okay, right? Maybe your mom's texting you, like, you're going to get on the phone first with, like, your mom and dad. You're not going to get on the phone with TMZ. You're not going to speak to the press first. I don't think so. So it's always a good question when you sense that something is wrong, as I very much sense right now with the Charlie Kirk assassination, to go back and reflect on who opened up to the press with information. Look, if you've been a long-time listener of the show, the mainstream media has been controlled by the CIA since Operation Mockingbird. And so I addressed that question. Who is it that gave the footage to TMZ? Why TMZ? Whose instincts would it be to give the footage to TMZ? If you're really just a person living out in Utah, surprised by everything, why are you giving it to, like, TMZ, which covers celebrity gossip out of Hollywood, right? The New York Post, that's not supposed to be a local paper, a local news source. Why would you hit up the New York Post? Which Utah citizen thought of TMZ first? Was it them or was it the feds? Well, we were able to stalk that, okay? We were able, because gratefully, one of the individuals who owned the house spoke to a local news station the morning after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. That in the back of my mind, looking for some other witnesses. I decided witnesses pertaining to Tyler Robinson.
Fast forward a little bit up.
Witness, and her account is kind of confusing to me, and I'm going to tell you why. We contacted Lance's family to see if they're familiar with that name. I cannot.
I'll remember. Val, you go first.
So I remember hearing this thing. It was hard to, like, know what it was, but then I saw it, and I saw blood everywhere, and it hit his artery, and then I fell to the ground. I covered my head with my hands, and then I just started saying a prayer, and then we all ran. We sprinted away, and we ran away and then we met at the tennis courts, and then we couldn't find anyone. It was just me, Mia, and then my other cousin Bella, and then we were calling everyone. We didn't know what to do, and then we finally met up with them, and it was just so scary.
I'm sure, Mia.
I remember that we were like 15 feet away, and I thought, like, the shot was like a firecracker or something. It just didn't seem real. After that, we went, like, behind where Charlie Kirk was, and then we were meeting up at the tennis courts and trying to find everyone and get everyone together. And Charlie Kirk was such a good guy. I'm gonna miss him so much. I've always watched all of his videos, and
no, I can't imagine what you all went.
Gonna miss Charlie Kirk.
Can't imagine what you went through yesterday. Thanks for sharing your stories this morning.
Okay, so I was just interested in the family more broadly speaking. I can tell you the family is very heavily involved in politics. That woman that you are looking at, her father was a businessman turned councilman.
They just got some eyewitnesses, and this is one of the reasons why the shooter was charged with having initiated the crime in front of minor children, because there were a lot of minor children out there. I think in this video, she mentioned something about some video camera footage, not seeing blood.
the map of everywhere to look, and this is where the shooter walked, and this is what happened, is a mysteriously vacant home that is owned by the university itself, and that of sorts. Putting it out there, and I can tell you that we are now prodding that narrative and asking if you are a person who has any footage, and you have been instructed not to give any footage whatsoever. I don't know. I can't understand if you own the property and it's yours. I don't know how they can tell you it's not yours anymore. Since don't forget, Governor Cox said it's all wrapped up, it's over, we've got him, move on. I don't see how you showing us a Dodge Charger that you saw driving by would be problematic. So,
Yeah, but you're not law
please email
enforcement,
tips@CandaceOwens.com. We are going
You're
to
not
get
law
to the BB
enforcement.
that doth protest too much in just a moment. First, going to throw it to some of our sponsors. Riverbend Ranch,
do have
everyone, like I told you, or their
They do.
exercise, they just had Candace. I mean, I'm telling you guys, I've been through a lot of media attacks. I have. You
Oh my
name it, I've
God.
been through it. This is another level. Okay, this is like, it's like, there's a thirst there that I've never seen.
She's telling people, I don't see why you cannot send pictures and photos of that Dodge Challenger if they claim that we got the person, we're all done here. This is how, when you don't understand how these proceedings work in court, whether it be a civil or criminal matter, you're not an investigator. For you to even ask that question goes to show you're not right about that. Let the investigators, let the police say when it's appropriate to release any information. There could be a reason why they're saying not to do that, because you could be alerting someone that they might still be investigating and you have no idea they're investigating them. And now you're putting out an alert and you're putting the people who put that information out there in harm's way. Because what if they get targeted for that? What if they end up being targeted for that? There is a reason why you don't do that, Candace. You don't know who's out here tampering with witnesses, tampering with evidence, who all else is involved. And when you don't know those things, you don't sit here and encourage someone to release videos and photos of the car or anything dealing with this open investigation, because you don't know what type of danger or harm you're putting in them in. You might be putting them in the line of fire. You don't know that. So no, do not release anything right now until you get some sort of approval from law enforcement and the investigators. Because Lord knows, Candace Owens is neither of those things. She's not a law enforcement. She's not an investigator. She doesn't work for the police department. She's not a prosecutor. She doesn't know the law. Don't do it. Just don't damn do it. Oh my God.
They are all parroting the same talking points. They're clearly collaborating. I can tell you it's a Zionist attack. I've lived through enough of them. This is what they're like. And they all kind of say the same thing, slightly different. And the idea is to pile up and hope. And if people keep seeing the same thing, they'll just believe it's true. And of course, Bibi Netanyahu, defending Bibi Netanyahu seems to be at the center of it all. That Zionists control a lot of publications in America. That is just a reality. We can even go through that. It's a little weird that I have never said throughout discussing this case, which I care very much about, that Bibi Netanyahu murdered Charlie Kirk. Tucker Carlson never said that. Megyn Kelly never said that. Dave Smith never said that. Instead, what we are doing is we are disputing Bibi Netanyahu's narrative that him and Charlie were on great terms and really friendly and had just invited him out. And here's this love letter Charlie wrote. He heavily implied that. And he was saying way too much, too fast, and too soon. That didn't feel right. And we just wanted the truth to be out there. I don't know who specifically came out and said that Bibi killed Charlie Kirk. But now that he's for the second time denying that he is, people are going, what's actually going on here? This is weird. When Charlie Kirk was assassinated, I didn't feel compelled to come out and make 2 videos to tell people that I didn't kill him. That would be weird. Like, you would be like, Candace, it's very strange. Why do you feel like you need to say that? If Tucker Carlson had to make 2 videos saying I didn't kill Charlie Kirk, you would go, that's weird. Megyn Kelly, I didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Why would she do that? Of course she didn't kill Charlie Kirk. But Bibi has come out, like I said, with his second statement, and we can listen to it. Take a listen.
Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, said that the bigger the lie, the faster it will spread. Well, somebody has fabricated a monstrous big lie that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's horrific murder. This is insane. It is false. It is outrageous. Charlie Kirk was a giant, a once-in-a-century talent who defended freedom, defended America, defended our common Judeo-Christian civilization. Charlie loved Israel. He loved the Jewish people. He told me so in a letter that he sent me just a few months ago. One of my greatest joys as a Christian, he said, is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. He encouraged me to make the case directly to the American people about how vital Israel is to U.S. national security. He told me, the Holy Land is so important to my life, it pains me to see support for Israel slip away. Now, if Charlie disagreed with a policy of mine or a decision here and there, not only did I not mind, I welcomed it. This is the essence of Charlie. This is the essence of a free country. It's exactly what Charlie stood for. And I knew that his suggestions always came from the heart, from his love for Israel and from his love for the Jewish people. A few weeks before his death, I spoke to Charlie. I invited him to visit Israel again. And sadly, that won't happen. Now some are peddling these disgusting rumors, perhaps out of obsession, perhaps with Qatari funding. What I do know is this: Charlie Kirk was a great man, and a great man deserves honor, not lies. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. May your memory be a blessing.
I don't know, guys. That Israeli propaganda just ain't hitting the same. It's just not hitting the same. I feel like it was hitting in 2018, but like this is just not hitting. Gaza's not helpful. You're talking about a free country, Gaza just kind of being bombarded because you want to make a beachside place vacation for your friends. It's not feeling good.
No one advocates for the loss of life like that. No one. He had Charlie Kirk, I'm sure, had the same sentiments about, just senseless bombings. Even Trump used the F word. It was like both countries don't know what the F they're doing. He felt frustrated over it. But to still try to say, yeah, this is the reason why the Israeli prime minister would have something to do with Charlie Kirk being assassinated on national television, when the president said the same thing, I don't get it. She's forcing this connection, and then she's getting upset because he's having to go out and debunk it again. And now people are telling the Israeli prime minister to file a lawsuit against her for defamation because they're not in the mood. You've already got one lawsuit from one world leader. You're about to catch another one from a second world leader. You'll be the first person in history to catch a lot of things, Candace. Lawsuits from whole presidents of other countries is something else. Good grief.
You're doing, we do know you are a cold-blooded murderer. Looking at what's happening in Gaza, there's no question about that. How many kids have been murdered? Okay. And you're again saying too much. I don't know why you don't seem to be able to get through a speech without lying or implying a lie. Who specifically, BB, is funded by Qatar? Maybe, don't just maybe Qatar. In fact, you are the one, your administration is the one that has been under investigation for taking money from the Qataris. It was actually related to Gaza. So, and what you were going to do with Gaza thereafter. So why are you saying that about Americans? If we were taking money from Qatar, it wouldn't be a problem according to your administration and your cronies. So what's this about? I was so hopeful that you would be able to get through that speech without mentioning the Holocaust, but that was kind of the opening liner. Joseph Goebbels said, bro, Joseph Goebbels has nothing on the Zionists in America and the propaganda that they have pushed. I got to tell you, that's the reality, okay? Let's go before him. Let's go to Sigmund Freud. How you guys created this system of propaganda. Who's the real father of modern propaganda, okay? It's the Freud family. We're awake to this. We see what you guys are doing. And you're not making people feel comfortable with the fact that you keep coming out to have to deny something that certainly wasn't asserted by me on this program. And you're doubling down on your lie. I told you to publish the full letter that Charlie wrote you, not lines of it, okay? So lie by omission, and to stop mentioning the fact that you invited him to Israel just 2 weeks ago without mentioning the fact that he declined to go. Am I lying? Can anybody actually work and assert that I'm lying? You can say my name. Candace Owens lied. Charlie said, I'd love to go to Israel. Charlie said, I'd love to have you on my radio show. And for some reason, that seems to be a common theme, that they have sent the hounds out, but they're unable to actually dispute the words that are coming out of my mouth. You have Bill Ackman, extraordinarily, I said, I will publish whatever it is that you say, Bill. You can come on the program. We can talk about that trip to the Hamptons. He just kind of, which was, by the way, you guys on Instagram were so fun. I didn't even have to say anything. You guys just saw right through it because we're all awake. He just, I guess, shared text messages with Charlie Kirk to dispel the claims of, you see how it says blackmail in parentheses. They put Israel. I never said Israel blackmailed him. I never said that. Okay. And in fact, somebody that was at the Hamptons published a statement and said that Charlie said he felt morally blackmailed. Okay. So that doesn't help your case. But anyways, Bill Ackman published these private text messages, and I guess that just was supposed to dispel the idea that anything happened in the Hamptons. And yeah, actually what's missing from these messages are like a date, a context, and they don't dispel anything that I have asserted. Okay, so what's going on here? Then they trot this guy out, Eric Bolling. He goes on the PBD podcast, and this is this should be embarrassing. Like the amount of lies coming out of this man's mouth was astounding. Okay, but they ran with the New York Post, right? Outfit of the Mossad, outfit of the deep state. Ran with it. Charlie Kirk had a breakup with Candace Owens, like as if we were dating. Let's listen actually to what Eric Bolling had to say on the PBD podcast.
At some point, her credibility, I mean, is going to go down the tubes because she needs to bring receipts. Bill Ackman brought receipts. How long was that tweet?
It's still going. I think
he was there in the room. Andrew Colbert was there in the room. You're on the board of Turning Point?
Yeah.
Okay. When's the last time you saw Candace Owens?
In person?
Yeah.
2015,
Oh,
2016.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. No,
When's the last time she was at a Turning Point event?
Not in many years.
Okay.
But
So let's, without even being biased,
there's no question, proof that Candace Owens has nothing to do. She would be in a perfect world if they didn't have this, what I already know was a very quiet breakup where she got to
rabbit hole for him. She would be the logical heir to the TPUSA throne, but she's
And
not.
now she's not
because
even invited.
Correct. So this is so their divide is.
Wait a minute, not invited, meaning
She's not even there.
Yeah, she's not
there.
one of the names.
What, you don't think she'll be at the funeral?
No.
That's
I mean,
not
the
the funeral.
heir to the
Oh, okay.
TPUSA throne.
She doesn't speak at the events anymore.
Y'all look at the facial expression she has right here. It's like it's dawning on her that, oh shit, what if I don't get invited to the funeral? Yeah, you all think she'll be invited to the funeral after this? Do you guys think she'll be invited to the funeral after this? Wyoming guy said, what is the definition of Zionist nowadays? I knew what it was when I was growing up, but I feel the definition has changed. Obviously, BB isn't saying he didn't kill Charlie. He's saying we weren't involved in his death. Okay, I'll check that out. They really don't like her. With a kitty, I'm starting to see that. And how many of you think that she would be invited to the funeral by Erica Kirk? Seriously. She wasn't mentioned in the speech. You got these guys here. One of them, a board member, saying, we haven't seen her since 2015, 2016. You know, she spoke at an event last year, so bowling is lying in that. Okay, that's fair. Because like I said, I didn't keep up with what any of that stuff was going on with Charlie Kirk or TPA or is it TP? Yeah, Turning Point USA, TPUSA. I didn't keep up with any of that stuff. So, but I'm speaking of the funeral invite, because that's just the look is what caused me to just kind of freeze to see right after he said that. It's like she shoots this look like, do you think she'll be invited to the funeral? You think his wife will invite her to the funeral? And if so, will she be able to be with the family? When is the funeral today? When is the funeral? Woody Kitty said nope. So 1 in the chat if you think she'll get an invite. 2 in the chat if you think she will not get an invite. Oh, Sunday. Okay. So that's tomorrow. 1 in the chat if you think she'll get an invite. 2 in the chat if you do not think she will get an invite. Because she didn't make any indication that she was even invited. I didn't know how much Turning Point until much about Turning Point did not. Me either. So why don't we get? I think she will get an invite. I think tomorrow, Monday. Okay. 1 in the chat if you think she will get an invite. 2 in the chat if you think she will not get an invite. So we got a 1 from Wyoming and a 2 from Witty Kitty. Because I just, after all of this, I mean, does Erica Kirk really want all of this following her to her husband's funeral? Seriously. She's got enough going on. You think she wants to sit here and worry about, someone that claimed to be her husband's friend trying to allude that the Israeli prime minister had something to do with it? Whether it was, we all know he didn't pull the trigger or anything, but, and I get what you're saying. He didn't kill, of course, but he's saying he wasn't involved. Candace ain't paying nobody's bills. No, right? So we got 2 twos. Who else? Candia, you think she's gonna get an invite or not? Because right now, the way this is going and how this is all falling down, if those guys are there and you have people who she's alleged she's communicating with at Turning Point USA, maybe they are giving her some info, maybe not. Maybe they're just feeding her this information because they know she's going to put it out, but yet it could be false. It could be misleading. Maybe they're playing her and just telling her whatever she wants to hear, knowing that she's going to go out and talk about it. Maybe that's the case. But do you think this is going to get her an invite to the funeral? I'm wondering what the interaction could be between her and Erica Kirk, because this is crazy. This is something else. So, oh man, let's get back to it. This is yeah.
So that's just what you. It's so good for this to happen because you guys are. It's so good for this to happen because you guys are watching everything that I'm saying and you can watch them lie. Eric Bowling, I just don't even get this. How can you say that I have not spoken at a Turning Point USA conference in years when I literally went on tour with Turning Point USA on college campuses last year? Like that's just incredible. You didn't know that I went. I was on tour for Turning Point USA last year. You don't remember that happening at all. Okay, then I get fired from the Daily Wire. Turning Point USA is the first to issue a Christ is King statement of support. Then I do what was the YWLS conference right after that. So let's just actually bring this in. What you are referring to, which is kind of a part of the story that we're telling you, is that the Zionists started circling Charlie and trying to control things. This was actually in the around September or whatever. And I was always very honest that Charlie and I had a conversation and they were putting pressure on, you can't talk to her. She's talking about Israel. Blah, blah, blah. Charlie, I am under so much fire right now. Do not even, I'm like radioactive. Don't even worry about the conference. I have to rebuild my whole life. I have to figure out how to get my podcast back on the road. I literally, I'm banned from Australia because I stood up the Zionists. Like I have so much going on. For me not to speak at AmpFest is nothing. Like that doesn't even mean anything. Save yourself, okay? It means nothing to me. Tell them whatever you need them to tell them. And I'm going to focus on trying to rebuild my life because they also had me canceled from YouTube. Remember all that stuff at the end of last year? It was insane. And I came back bigger and I came back stronger because at the end of the day, the truth will win against lies. That's the message. And so the reality is that then they came inward because that's what Zionists do. They started putting more pressure on him. And this time they didn't want just Candace Owens. It was Tucker Carlson because Tucker went to AmpFest. And then they said, that can't happen again either. And Charlie started realizing which way the wind was blowing. And in fact, in the very week that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he was saying that he wanted me back on the roster. That's where his mindset was at. You cannot dispute any of this because it's real. This is then suddenly he gets a Schulman guy is the one that said, I want my name off of the building at Turning Point in the 48 hours leading up to his assassination, a couple of days leading up to his assassination. They were squeezing him, trying to control who he was allowed to speak to. And that started in real earnest, I can tell you, in Q4 of last year. And then Charlie had enough. And I got a lot more that's going to come out about what happened at Turning Point. It wasn't just that. They were spiking the ball, where they were spending the money. It was almost like they just wanted to take over the company that he had built and turn it into just another outfit of the Mossad. Like that's the information that I have. And I want to make sure that I properly vet everything and go through everything. That's what it looks like. And it's going to come out. Okay. So your little talking points and the lies you can look up and research and see that's not true. And that's your big LOL point. Like, oh, well, the proof of this is she's not speaking at Charlie's honoring Charlie event in Arizona. And then they ask me these questions. They're like, when's the last time you spoke to Erica? Have you attended a Charlie Kirk? What is it? Can you pull up the weird things? They're all running with these talking points. This is what we got from the Daily Mail. Is she planning to attend his memorial service in Arizona? Was she asked to speak? Or did she ask to be a part of the program? Why would I ask to be a part? Like this is obviously Erica is in like full control. I would hope she's in full control, but I don't know because I'm hearing some stories about donors that are pushing things. But let's reopen that. More questions here. Oh my God. Has she attended any of the vigils for him? Is she planning to attend? Does she speak to Erica? When's the last time they spoke? Board member Eric Bowling, by the way, he's not a board member, but that would have been a good fact check for you, PBD, said that Charlie Kirk had a quiet breakup with Candace Owens after she got too far down the rabbit hole for him.
Wow.
Has there been any communication between, if there hasn't been any communication between the two for many years, it's made up. It's just all made up. And like I said, the reason that they're doing this is because they want us to stop investigating the death of Charlie Kirk. I'm convinced this is a full-blown Fed operation. I'm hearing about the pressure that's even happening.
Okay, but Candace, you're not an investigator. You're not a licensed investigator. So, research and looking into sources and information to report on as a member of the press does not give you full investigatory powers. You're telling people to post up videos and photos of the suspect's car during an open investigation and saying, I don't see what's so wrong about it because you don't know the law. That's the issue. You're not investigating anything. You can research. You can ask questions. You can go to your sources. But you're making a lot of inclinations and a lot of statements over and over again with a large platform where people are believing you. And they're coming off of this high from the whole Brigitte Macron series where you completely lied about that. And then she's going to lie about it some more.
With planning this event, they're trying to make it seem like, oh my, how dare she? Did you attend a vigil? Except with anything. No, actually, I didn't attend a vigil. Why? And nope, you're right. You got me. I was not invited to speak alongside President Trump and JD Vance on the stage with Tucker Carlson at a memorial event. What does this have to do with anything? The answer is it has to do with nothing. They're working on a narrative like they always do. They're coming in, they're squeezing, and they're trying to pretend that Charlie and I didn't speak for years. It could not be further from the truth. Okay? Charlie and I never for a single second stopped being friends. Ever. Never happened.
When did
They
the
can't
last time they
produce
speak?
one.
Okay, here's a good question. When did the last time they spoke? When was the last time, Candace, you, Charlie Kirk, before he passed away, when was the last time you two actually spoke or communicated with each other? Whether it be email or text or phone call or video chat, when was the last time there was any communication exchange between you and Charlie Kirk? And maybe I'm missing it. Maybe she said it in another video or something, and we didn't get to it. Last time these two had communication. If I'm missing it, let me know in the chat, please. Because I think that's telling. If you went, let's say the last time she spoke for Turning Point USA was a year ago. If you have not really talked to him since then, you know, whether you two stop being friends or not is irrelevant to the closeness that you two had. If you can go a full year without speaking to your friend that you're very angry about, I mean, naturally, most people who cared about him would be angry about the way he, you know, died. But, you know, if you've gone almost a year without speaking to this man, allegedly, then of course you're not going to get invited to a lot of things, because even his wife probably wouldn't know what to do with you right now.
Sort of evidence to that effect. Nope, just donors. And the donors at Turning Point need to be investigated, because what I'm hearing, like I said, from Turning Point sources is not good. And guess what? If it's got to be me and you need to hate me forever, that's totally fine. On top of that, talk about a federal operation out of nowhere. Brigitte Macron just lies. I don't even know how they got this in the press. There's like, not, this is so dumb. Brigitte Macron comes out and says they have offered scientific evidence to the U.S. court to prove that Brigitte is a woman. That's what her lawyer says. Well, the lawyer's a liar because we haven't even started this case yet. So how could you have offered scientific proof to a court to prove you're a woman, especially because you're not suing me over the claim that I said?
Okay, let's go back.
Just donors. And the donors at Turning Point need to be investigated, because what I'm hearing, like I said, from Turning Point sources is not good. And guess what? If it's got to be me and you need to hate me forever, that's totally fine. On top of that, talk about federal operation out of nowhere. Brigitte Macron just lies. I don't even know how they got this in the press. There's like, not, this is so dumb. Brigitte Macron comes out and says they have offered scientific evidence to the.
Okay, and then this is what I pointed out in the video that I did. It says Macron's to offer. Macron's to offer. It does not say they offered. So no, they did not lie, Candace. Macron's to offer. Future tense. They will be presenting. They will be offering scientific evidence. That, I mean, that whole rant. See, and like she said, little lies add up to bigger lies. You made a huge lie in this video just about this one topic here because you didn't read each word in context. Macron's to offer. It's that simple. That simple. And it invalidates a lot of stuff you say when you're capable of not only accusing someone of lying, but because you misread the statement. That's the crazy part.
And they can't produce one shred of evidence to that effect. Nope,
oh my God.
Just donors. And the donors at Turning Point need to be investigated, because what I'm hearing, like I said, from Turning Point sources is not good. And guess what?
Exactly.
If it's got to be me and you need to hate me forever, that's totally fine.
Not at all.
On top of that, talk about a federal operation out of nowhere. Brigitte Macron just lies. I don't even know how they got this in the press. There's like, not, this is so dumb. Brigitte Macron comes out and says they have
because they're world leaders. Of course, it's going to make the press. Are you kidding? She's the first lady of France.
Offered scientific evidence to the U.S. court to prove that Brigitte is a woman. That's what her lawyer says. Well, the lawyer's a liar because we haven't even started this case yet. So how could you have offered scientific proof?
There has not been a hearing yet, Candace, but it has started. It started the moment they filed the complaint. They filed 219 pages of a complaint against you. It started then. You have not had a hearing yet. What do you mean it hasn't started? You and your attorney filed a motion to dismiss with the briefs to support it after getting approved from the court to have the page and term limit expanded. And filed something you said on Tucker Carlson you would never file, which is a dismissal. So if anyone's lying here, who's lying?
Proof to a court to prove you're a woman, especially because you're not suing me over the claim that I said you were born a man. You
Yes,
weren't
she
born a
is.
man. Oh, I guess you're born a boy, a male is what I should say. You're born a male, and you've never sued anybody for making that statement.
You said she was born a man and would die a man. That is exactly what she's suing you over. That is the page 1 of the complaint. Man, male, you can't. You think the terminology is going to change it up? Whether you're saying she's born a man or a male, they're both false. She was born a female woman.
Sue for things around it. You're suing me because you're saying, well, you said I stole the identity from my sister. I'm not a thief. You've never sued anybody for the claim that you were born male.
She's
so
suing
I don't
you
know what
for
this
that.
is. Just like we're just going to all hound Candace to try to distract her from looking into Charlie Kirk's murder and
She said, I
assassination.
don't know what this is.
But it's
It's a
focusing
lawsuit.
more because this is not normal. Like the amount of lying that's happening right now is because you don't think I'm strong enough to handle it and you're trying to break me. You're not going to break me. Okay. I watched him catch a bullet in the throat and we're being lied to by everybody about who was involved, why it happened. And
the Brigitte Macron case has nothing to do with the unfortunate death of Charlie Kirk. That lawsuit was filed back in July. And you're trying to, and I see where she's going to go with this. She's going to go to court and say, Your Honor, I'm just under so much stress. I'm angry, upset. I lost my friend. And she's going to try to weaponize that. And the judge is going to say, I empathize with you and I'm sorry for your loss. But that is a totally different matter, irrelevant to this one. And all the things that you said about Brigitte Macron was before the loss of your friend, before the death of Charlie Kirk. This has nothing to do with the lawsuit from Brigitte Macron when it comes to the death of Charlie Kirk. Those are two separate instances. So you can't sit here and try to merge those two things together. It's not going to work in court, Candace.
why you are attacking the people who are the person rather who is trying to investigate it. You're not a good friend, they say,
right?
If you investigate this. Now they're running the, how dare you get clicks for investigating it? What? This is my show. How dare you get clips for even talking about me talking about it? You morons. You guys think we're that stupid? How dare Candace get clicks as we get clicks off of Candace getting clicks?
Yeah,
it's so asinine. You're so stupid. And the entire world is watching. And that's what's problematic. Left and right, we are realizing something more sinister happened. We're not taking the MAGA bait. The dad MAGA. He's been more MAGA than ever. One of the commenters pointed out, why would the dad suddenly be more MAGA than ever? Like, what happened recently? Like, we're in September. Like, what happened that someone would commit themselves further to Trump? More MAGA than ever. In fact, it's been kind of the opposite. People think we're occupied by Zionists. More MAGA people are going like, it seems like Trump has kind of given up on free speech and his administration seems to be controlled by Bibi Netanyahu. So that doesn't ring true either. And then it's like, oh, over here, the trans. Neither. Left and right, we're paying attention and we're looking up at who rules over us. And it's not a pretty picture. Let me get to your guys' comments. Obviously, we've just covered a lot here. First, I'm going to tell you about Tax Network.
Okay, yeah. So that's the end of her, that video there that I wanted to highlight. She is crashing out. She just flat out lied about the lawsuit thing. She is lying about what's going on with the case in the courts. She's lying about what was said. I mean, clearly, the article shows that they will be proving or providing scientific evidence, which is exactly what you need to prove someone's gender. There is no way she's going to be able to, and that's what she's going to try to do, Wyoming gal. She's going to try to use the excuse about being under stress in court. She's going to try to say, oh, I was pregnant and it was my hormones. None of that is going to work, Candace, because you keep saying that. You just said in this video now, after the lawsuit, after you filed a motion to dismiss, that she was born a male, a male, changing it from man to male doesn't make a difference. It's still false. This is why she needs to go somewhere and sit down and go to her room and read a book. Go spend time with her kids and her husband. You're losing your shit all over TV, all over YouTube. And people are picking up on that. And if anything, and that was a good point about her not really. Kadia said, I think she'll get invited but not allowed or asked to speak. I think the funeral is Sunday, but there is a memorial is at the University of Glendale. My friend is trying to get into it now. Okay, cool beans. If she shows up, they'll escort her out like Bobby Brown. Candace is more full of you know why than a constipated elephant in the bed. In the bed. Is she in the bed? I don't know. I don't think they communicated for a while. All the Israel info comes from others that spoke to Charlie. Okay. If she spoke to him recently, why wouldn't she know about his questions about Israel? Exactly. You notice she never mentions being friends with his wife. That is the comment right there that to me stands out because the wife didn't mention her in her speech. She never said, and to my good friend and sister, Candace Owens, who was the very closest and best friend that Charlie ever had, that, advocated for us getting married and blah, blah, blah. Never even mentioned her name. She wasn't invited to any memorial, to anything. And the way she's acting, she's not going to get invited to anything because so many people are going to be turned off so bad from seeing her there. They're not going to want to fool with it. Turning point sources. If you're going to make conclusions, you need to at least be exact on the facts you do have. Exactly. Draw your opinions from the facts and the evidence. We don't know if Candace is a real woman. I mean, that's what my whole argument is. That can be said about anybody. You want to sit here and say that Brigitte Macron is not a real woman. Well, what about the theories that, went out claiming that Melania Trump wasn't a real woman? Or the theories that went out claiming that Candace herself is not a real woman. She wouldn't want anyone to take away her motherhood or her womanhood. She gave birth 4 times. Why would you do this to somebody in France? Why do you care about the First Lady of France so bad? All of that negative attention and negative publicity and press around her right now. You're being sued by world leaders. You don't mention anything about your friend's wife at all. You're just talking about how you're angry and how you were treated. It's all about her right now. And she's not for the first time, she's not the focus. She has an opportunity to focus on someone else. And she's still somehow trying to mesh the two things together. You're trying to mesh your issues you created with the Macrons that led to a lawsuit with the death of your friend, whom you can't even say the last time you two talked. And those two things aren't going to be meshed together in court. The judge will not allow it. They're just going to sit there and listen to you try to make up some BS excuse as to why you kept lying about this woman being a man when she's going to bring in scientific evidence to debunk you. It's so crazy. Brigitte have a thing for 14-year-old students more problematic than Brigitte being a man or a woman. Exactly. I mean, and those are two separate things. One can be scientifically debunked. But if you want to have an issue with her having some sort of relation with a 14, 15-year-old kid, that's all well and good. I think most people will be deterred by that and find that to be disgusting. But you got to also consider, what do you want to come out of that other than just the awareness of it? You can't have her incarcerated for it. Candace is not picking her battles wisely here. It's just seeing her just decline like that and just crash out like that is just crazy. I don't think Candace will use the excuse about being under stress in court. I think she's going to try. Because she's already kind of saying this now. Like, everybody's lying on me to try to distract me from investigating my friend's death. But the Macron lawsuit has nothing to do with that. It is a standalone issue. But she's already trying to merge those two things together. And then she's lying on their attorneys. She's lying on the reporting. I mean, all she had to do was read the word "to." It makes a whole difference. Question: did Macron sue the other 4.6 million people that say his wife is ugly? I don't think so. But you know what? The thing is, it's one thing to lie about something that can be, based on an opinion and abstract. It's another thing to say that it was a fact that she was born a man. Like I said, you're taking away. I've been called ugly. I've been called, mannish. I've been called a lot of things. But when you're talking about someone with her platform and you're going after a world leader saying basically she said those are not her children. I don't believe that those are her 3 children. That hits differently as a mother. You're literally trying to take away my motherhood. You're saying I didn't give birth to my own kids. And why would you say something like that and then expect someone to debunk you on that? As if they're entitled to do that. They don't owe Candace an explanation. The moment she said that is when I got disgusted. You can have your opinion. I catch that all the time, and I don't have 4.5 million subs. But to say that Brigitte Macron did not give birth to 3 children when Candace is giving birth to 4, and you don't hear people saying that about her all day, every day on large platforms, it's insane. And it gets to a point where the damage is not just to Brigitte Macron, but to her children and her grandchildren who are watching this stuff. And Candace more than likely would sue if someone came out and said, I don't believe that Candace is a woman. I believe she's a man. And I don't believe those are her children. She did not give birth to them. If someone came out and said that and they purporting it to be a fact, the way she's been doing with Brigitte Macron, she would sue. She would definitely sue. And then all of her supporters would go after that person and they would go hammer time in the comment section. They would catch it either way. There would be no peace. You have a version of Umar Johnson's Candace. Oh my God. Emmanuel Macron's parents pulled him out from school. When they found out his teacher, Brigitte, and their 14-year-olds were having a relation. Yeah, I did hear that. Which is exactly what should have happened. You're talking about a teacher getting with some 14-year-old kid. Whatever the age of consent is in France, it's still young. It's too young. 15 is too damn young. You're still a child. So, I wouldn't even care if my son was 18. I would not want some 30-year-old coming on my 18-year-old kid. No. Are we assuming the scientific evidence would be a DNA test? Yeah, I mean, more than likely. The scientific evidence being some DNA and or, I don't want to say photos of anything, but definitely some medical records. But then, Candace has not accepted any documentation and evidence that's been presented. And once again, when the lines between reality and theory start to blur, reality and fantasy start to blur, people like Candace, she's going to call everything that she's given fake or photoshopped or forged or, oh, the blood won't be real. How do we know it's not alien blood? She's not going to accept any evidence because she doesn't want to be wrong. She doesn't want to correct the record because she knows that it would tarnish her credibility. She knows that it would take a huge hit on her character. She doesn't want to be wrong. At some point, we have to snap back into reality. Everything can't be questionable, including facts and evidence. We still have to agree at the end of the day that 2 + 2 is still 4. If we can't even agree on some common factual information here, basic factual information here, then court is where she belongs because that's where she's going to have the real wake-up call, that rude awakening. Because she continues to go off into a tangent of fantasy land here where conspiracy theories rule and nothing else. We can't coexist as human beings if we can't agree on basic fundamental facts, such as human bodies need food and water in it to function. Try living without blood pumping through your veins. There are some basic fundamentals that we have to agree on as facts. What happens if you drain someone of blood? They're going to die. So we all agree that blood sustains our life force. But if you think that someone submitting DNA tests, blood tests, is somehow tainted now, and now you're not even going to believe that. Okay, well, we're not here to reach common ground with her. We just want the judge and the jury to make a decision on the damages because she's unredeemable. She doesn't even want to accept photos or emails or a certificate of birth or DNA test or medical records. She don't want to accept anything. But she asked for an interview. What? So now they're going to bring in scientific evidence. And it's not going to be based on what Candace accepts. It's going to be based on what the judge accepts as evidence. If the judge deems that to be sufficient and the jury decides, based on the evidence submitted, that there more than likely was damages caused and that she did this with a reckless disregard for the truth, just because she's not accepting the evidence doesn't mean it doesn't exist. All it shows is she has a complete reckless disregard for the truth. That is the malice that they have to prove as the petitioners. And it will not be difficult to meet their burden when she's still saying all of this stupid nonsense to this very day. And now she's trying to do it under the guise of being angry, or they're attacking me for trying to investigate Charlie Kirk's death. You're not an investigator. Talk about it all day, but don't merge those two things together. And that's so crazy. She's not going to stop until she loses in court. If that's what it takes, then that's what's going to have to happen. She definitely would be a hypocrite if she uses she's a victim as an excuse. Exactly. She's already a hypocrite for saying that she was not going to seek a dismissal. And then next thing you know, there's a motion to dismiss along with a brief to support it being filed to the court. Brigitte really does look like a brother's picture. And has anyone been able to find the brother? He lives. He exists. He's in France. Her conclusion is based partly on that. I haven't followed that story much. Yeah, he's real. He's been photographed and pictured in events and stuff. He probably will come to court just to show that we are two different people. I mean, that's what's so crazy about this. She's forcing people to have to do things they shouldn't have to do because she doesn't care about the damage and the effect that it causes. Just like with her trying to implicate that the Israeli prime minister has something to do with Charlie Kirk's death. I mean, come on. It's and then you see her just kind of unravel at the end of that video. It's never ending. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. That's all we got. I'm going to be definitely breaking down this live stream into different videos, but stay tuned for that. And I will be releasing them out and just loading them up so that you guys can watch it in parts. I appreciate you guys. I was just making a fun of y'all. You're good, sure. No worries. If the DNA proves you a woman and not a man, I'm thinking of the larger picture of this proof. They had nothing to do with Brigitte or Candace. No problem. I want to make sure I understood your comment correctly. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out. And you guys stay tuned. We're going to be going to Umar. That's a separate stream. Lance, we got it coming up shortly. I think it's at 9 p.m. I pushed it back to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time so that I can get some dinner in and, check on my kids and stuff like that. And then we'll come back and we will finish up the last of the Lennon Honor Series of War on Black Boys, Season 10. And that will be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you guys get ready for that. Get your popcorn and Kool-Aid and water and soda and fruits and vegetables and everything else you need. We're going to have a good time. All right. See you all in a minute. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And until the next one, Lady Luck Club out. Deuces.